Hi everyone. So quick intro before we jump into this tutorial. So this is one of the first video of my foliage creation series, and I actually recorded this video a year ago. So I decided why not just upload that on my YouTube channel for free. So in this video, we'll learn from scratch how to create bush and grass foliage, how to optimize it, and how to make it fully game ready. We'll also cover how to implement the foliage inside Unreal Engine and how to add wind effect and set up LOD for efficient performance. But before diving in, this video is sponsored by me. I've been working on 3D Texel library for the past 6 months. It's a growing platform where you can find free, high-quality assets such as PBR material, HDRI, decal, LightUS, Foliage Atlas, and 3D Mesh with LD and high poly version. We are adding new content almost every day, and there is much more coming soon, including an AI that will create PBR material, new landscape height brushes, backdrop, and much more. You can share your work on the website, and you can also contact us if you have any question or idea about the website. And if you want to support the product or the channel, check the link in the description. From there, you can start downloading free asset for free from 3D Pixel right now. So our tutorial begin with gathering various type of grass from outside. So in this case, I'm just outside my house and I will collect different type of grass. So it is essential to ensure that we cut the grass at the very bottom of it, and we can also include different variation of the same plant, such as dead grass and, for example, very green one. And so for this tutorial, I will gather 3 different type of grass, and we're gonna as well gather what I consider a small shrub. And of course, you can take whatever grass that you want. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're gonna only use the one that I gathered right there. So for this tutorial, I'm using my camera, a Sony A7 II. With a camera lens of 28 by 72 millimeter. I would advise that if you want to invest in getting the best setup, consider maybe buying a macro camera lens and maybe investing in good lighting. So I would recommend a ring flash for optimal results. However, it's not necessary, and I will even show you that you can achieve good quality picture with just a camera phone. So now we're gonna take the picture of the grass, so the different grass that we gathered before. And so I'm using a white background, so you can use basically any kind of white background that you can find in your house, or buying it for a very low price, I guess. As long as it is clean and you don't have like different variation of color, that will do the job. Okay, now let's talk about lighting. So we want to avoid shadow, so we need to avoid direct light. So I'm actually gonna block the sun lighting coming from outside, and I'm gonna place some of the light that I buy from Amazon on top of the grass. And now I'm gonna place the grass on my white background. And yeah, always make sure that the grass is as flat as you can have. And so yeah, I'm just gonna take picture of all the grass with my lighting setup with my camera. Okay, so now for the last piece, which is the small shrub, we want to make sure that we take first a picture of one of the branch that we took from outside. And I also want to make sure that I'm going to take a picture of one of the leaves that we got from this branch. Lastly, I will just show you that you can even use your camera phone, and it's not always necessary to have the best setup to create 3D grass. So yeah, we just watched my workflow to create your own grass texture now. But of course, feel free to choose any grass texture from any library, and I will of course place all the texture in the resource folder for you to follow along with this tutorial. So now we actually gonna create the texture for the grass. So as you can see there, so this is actually the picture from my phone camera. So it is an iPhone 10, and so iPhone X, and so the same grass right there with the camera. So as you can see, the difference is not very a big deal, but I guess we can see way more detail in this one. But I can clearly do the job with just a camera phone. And so I also took some of the grass that I took from that I got from in the past. So these three right there. But I already masked them, so we're gonna do the same. And so I'm gonna explain you how to actually mask all the leaf. It's very simple. It's very fast. And so let's jump right into it. Okay, so now we're gonna start to masking the leaf. So the reason why we want to avoid direct light in so the best light that we can have, it's actually like overcast lights. It's because we want to avoid shadow. So right there we do have one. It's not very noticeable. So I guess I will do the job. But keep in mind that less shadow that you have, more easy it is to actually mask the leaf. So that one right there would be very easy, I believe, to mask because we basically have no shadow except for there. Okay, so to do so, I'm actually using AI. So using AI because it's way more faster than actually masking it on Photoshop. And so to do so, I actually have three choices. So we're gonna use Breya.ai. So this one is free. So you basically just look for Breya AI on Google and you just find it right there. I also use Canvas. So Canva Pro, you just go there, create design, you import a picture, then you modify it, and you use this tool over there, so which is remove the background. But you have to get the pro version. It's not free, but you do have the first 3 months. I mean, the first month which is free, and you also have free pick, which I use, and I have a premium account on it. But I guess it's one of the worst of these three. So we're actually gonna use Borea.ai, who do a great job to mask the leaf, but you do have not the best quality, but you can either pay it or use Canvas if you want the best quality for your leaf. Okay, so I'm actually gonna import one of my graphs, so I'm gonna start with the first one. I'm gonna just drag it right there. It's upload, wait for it to compute. Okay, and now I'm basically just gonna hit background removal right there, and now we're gonna export it as image. Gonna prep to download, and as you can see there, we did actually mask the leaf. So I'm gonna keep it right there. I'm gonna put that right here. So it is the masked leaf. Now I'm gonna do the same, but for all the tree last. So upload image, drop the leaf. So I'm gonna hit background removal. I'm fine with the result, so I'm just gonna export it as image. Watch it. It's actually pretty nice. Very very clear one. Gonna put it right there. So I'm gonna do the same for the two last. I'm gonna do the same for the leaf. Remove the background. Export it. Okay. So right there, it is basically the same as this one, but it is from my camera phone. So just to showcase that we can do have a good quality of 3D grass, I'm actually gonna mask this one as well. But this one has more shadow, so I'm maybe expecting a less good masking. Let's see that. No, it is actually a good result. Okay. Maybe right there. Yeah, maybe we got a little bit more that we want, but that will do the job. Okay. Okay, so now we can close all the Google AI. Okay, so now with this, so the all the leaf masket, as you can see there, we're gonna jump into Photoshop and starting to create all the channel that we need for our future 3D grass. So basically we're gonna create the base color, we're gonna create the normal map, and we're gonna create the opacity mask. Okay, so I'm gonna import this in Photoshop. So all the 5 leaf. I'm gonna do it as well for the tree that I got from the past as well. So we're just gonna import everything basically. So make sure that we are importing the masked one from the AI. Okay, so yeah, just a quick tip as well. If you actually don't have Photoshop and you maybe want to have a free version of it, you can just simply use this. So it's Photopea. It's basically the same as Photoshop, but it's free and it's on Google. Um, and it's working basically the same as Photoshop. So everything is at the same place pretty much, and that will do the job. Okay, so back on Photoshop. So we're gonna first start with so this one over there. So the first thing that we have to do is actually going there. So I'm gonna in here in calc, I'm gonna select the calc one. I'm gonna control C the calc one and control V. So we duplicate this. Now I'm gonna select the calc one, not the calc two. I'm gonna go in paint mode. Now I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna increase the size, and I'm just gonna paint everything. So all the calc one in black. So right there we just made the first base color of our leaf. So I'm gonna export this. So export as PNG. Okay, now I'm gonna find my folder. So in this case, this grass course, I'm gonna create a folder and call this one texture. I'm gonna hit enter, and so this one's gonna be. So I'm just gonna rename it at so 01 because it's the first leaf, and underscore B for base color. Okay, so now I'm gonna select the calc 2 right there, and I'm just gonna go in image setting, and we're gonna look for a level. No, so first we're gonna go and choose white and black. So we're gonna turn all the color in white and black, and now we're gonna go back here in image setting, and now we're gonna go for level right there, and now we're gonna bring this one, so the very left right one, all the way there, and we're gonna click enter, and now we can just simply go there and export as PNG. So I'm gonna name this one as 02 underscore uh, O for opacity. And now I'm gonna control Z twice to go back to the base color. And now while selecting calc 2, I'm gonna go there in filter, 3D, and generate normal map. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for it to compute. Okay, I'm seeing I'm fine with the normal results. I'm not gonna touch any of the setting on the normal map. So I'm fine with that. I'm just gonna save this. So export as PNG. So this one's gonna be 0 underscore normal, and I actually want this one to be 0 1 as well. So I'm gonna rename it. That was a mistake. So opacity, and so this one's gonna be 0 1 underscore normal, and I'm gonna hit save. Okay, so now we can actually close that because we did actually made all the channel that we need for this leaf. So we're gonna go with this one over there. So it is basically the same workflow for all the grass or leaf, but now we're gonna do it with shortcuts. So because you sometimes do have a lot of leaf to actually mask and create old channel, so I actually advise you to use shortcut. So right there, we first starting by clicking calc one. So we first Control C, Control V, and then we go in paint mode. We paint everything in black. We go and click back on calc 2. Now we're not gonna click here. We're just gonna use the shortcut. So the shortcut are so the first one is Alt, Shift, Control, and B. So we're gonna go so Shift, Control, Alt, B. Now everything's gonna turn in black and white. I'm gonna hit Enter, and after, to bring the level menu, I'm just gonna hit Control and L, like so. And so I'm gonna bring this one over there, like this. Now I'm gonna export this as PNG. I'm gonna rename this as 02 because it's the second leaf. And base color, I'm gonna Control Z. I just forgot to export this as base color, but we're gonna do it. So 02 underscore base color, so B. Now I'm gonna making sure I click on call to, and I'm gonna so click on filter 3D and generate normal map. Click OK. Export as PNG 02 underscore normal. Okay, so we're gonna do the last one together, and after I'm gonna just speed up the whole process. So go here, calc 1, Control C, Control V, click in calc 1, go paint mode, turn everything black. In case we change this position right there, but that will do the job anyway. So now I'm gonna paint everything paint everything on the calc 1. Now I'm gonna export this. So 03 underscore B. I'm gonna hit Shift Control Alt B, hit Enter. No, I was not on call 2. So Shift Control Alt B, Enter, Control L, bring the level right there, click OK, export 03 underscore ho, Control Z, filter, and export the normal map. Okay, so now for the last leaf, I'm actually gonna speed up the whole process, so see you on the next video. Okay, so now we did create all the texture that we need for our leaf material. So basically we create 8 material together. So now that we prepare everything, and so we have the base color, the normal map, and the opacity for each one of those leaves, we can jump now into SpeedTree to actually create those materials inside SpeedTree. So I'm gonna open SpeedTree. Here I'm gonna wait for it to compute. I'm gonna close that, and I'm gonna go in File, and we're gonna create a new project. So here I'm gonna select blank to start a blank project. Okay, so here we are. We have the viewport. So to move on the viewport, to actually move around an object, you hold left click and you drag to left and right to actually move left to the right, and up and down for up and down. Now, if you hold the middle mouse button, which is so the wheel on the mouse, if we hold it, we can actually move around like this. Okay, and now I'm actually gonna add a leaf to our scene. So to do so, I'm going in generation mode. So keep in mind that if you're missing any window, or you wanna maybe delete some of them, and sometimes you just want to get them back, you can go in Windows here. So bottom left, you go in Asset, and you can actually see all the window that we have on our SpeedTree software. So here we're gonna use the material window. So in case you don't have it, you go Window, Asset, and Material right there. And first, you see actually what we are making with the material. We're gonna place a leaf. So I'm just gonna add geometry. So right click onto the tree right there. Now you can right click here as well. And I'm gonna add a leaf. Okay. So now a quick tip: if you wanna actually pivot around an object, you can just simply double click with left click and now you're focused on the object. So sometimes if you're getting lost and you zoom or like focus to somewhere else, you just double click on it, and that's gonna focus exactly where you double click with your mouse. Okay, so here I'm gonna go in generation mode right there. I'm just gonna in the last value put 0, so we're gonna center that, and I'm gonna go in orientation, and in out I'm gonna put a value of 0.5. Okay, so now we're gonna create our first material. So to do so, we are actually gonna click on the plus and minus right there. So I'm gonna click here, and I'm gonna add new. Okay, and so now you can rename it either, so you left click first, and you can either rename it like this, or you can just select it, press F2, and we're gonna rename this as 01. We're actually taking this one, so I actually gonna rename this as 01, but of course you can rename it as whatever you want. So hit enter, and now we're gonna actually so take the folder right there, and we're gonna import all of the texture that we need for this material. So I'm gonna import the base color into the base color, the normal into the normal, and the opacity into the opacity. Okay, and so now I'm actually gonna drag this material onto our leaf. So to do so, you can left click here where is the mouse right there. So I'm gonna left click with left mouse button, and I'm gonna drag that onto the leaf right there. And as you can see now, we can actually see the material. Okay, so I'm gonna Control Z to undo, and now you can either do it like this, or you can drag and place it on the generation windows right there. So for both, we have the same result. So as you can see there, we cannot see the back side of this leaf, so on this material. It's because we have to actually check this box right there, which is, so in material, in setting, we have to check the two-sided right there. So as you can see now, we can actually see the back side of the leaf. Okay, so first, before going any further, I just want to, of course, save it. So we can actually, in case we crash or we want to jump back later onto the project, we're going to save it. So I'm going to click on File right there and save as. Okay, so right there, I'm going to look for my folder. So in this case, it is crash course. And right there, right here, I'm actually gonna name this as so grass 01. It's how one, and I'm gonna save. Okay, so now if we crush, I can just simply open this folder right there, and I can just click there, and everything is gonna open with everything set up inside already. Okay, so now we're gonna jump back into the material right there. So the first one that we made, and so next we actually gonna cut the leaf. So we are making sure that we are only using what we need for our leaf. Okay, so now we're gonna edit the cutout mesh. So to do so, you go in material, and in here you click on cutout mesh, and we're gonna edit this. Okay, so here, as you can see, we can see the leaf itself, and here, as you can see, we can see how much vertices that we have and how much face that we have. So as you can see, we have 2 face right there and 4 vertices. So basically here we just want to cut the mesh itself, so we can do it ourselves. So we're placing this point. So to do so, you click here, so you make sure that you select this tool over there. So this tool is to create point. So now if I click, I'm gonna create point, and I can of course place them. And if I click here, I can now delete points, and if I click here, I'm gonna actually delete all of them. But here we have a button to actually generate for us all the points. So it's very simple and very fast as well. So I used to use this tool basically every time. So I'm gonna click here, and here we can actually choose what point density that we want. So basically here we're gonna go with the lowest, which is gonna be 4. So 4 vertices, as you can see there. And if I go here to the highest, now we're gonna have so 20 vertices and 24 faces. Okay, so I think now I'm gonna keep it like so here. And now I just want to move this anchor point. So the anchor point, this is basically where your leaf's gonna start. So you always want to have this one. I mean, not always, but pretty much 99% of the time at the very bottom of the leaf. Like here, and now we can change the angle of it. So right here, as you can see in mesh option, we have angle, and we actually gonna so lower that to actually making sure that we're facing the same direction as the leaf. Okay, and now we're good. So we can just place that onto the eye, high, medium, and low. Of course, later we're gonna add more so vertices to our leaf. So we will place that so the highest one into the eye, the medium one into medium, and low to low actually. And this is what we use to create LD actually. Okay, so now I'm gonna hit done. Okay, so now we actually create our first material, and we're gonna do the same for all the 8 material that we've made together. So for the 8 texture that we've made together, and we're gonna create 8 of them, so 8 material. Okay, so now I'm gonna add a new one. I'm gonna click here, press F2, rename this as 02. I'm gonna go in my folder here, texture, and we're gonna actually place the 02 into the appropriate channel right there. Okay, so now I'm gonna place it here so you can see it. Now I'm gonna click two-sided so you can see the back of it. I'm gonna go in cutout mesh. I'm gonna generate, so the lowest one. I'm gonna place the anchor right there. And we are good, so I'm gonna place them in high, medium, and low. And we are good. So we're gonna do this with the next one. 03, gonna open this. This one's gonna be the leaf. I'm actually gonna rename this as 02 leaf, I believe. But first we're gonna place it. Go into setting, cut out, generate, place the anchor point. Okay, and so this one, we're gonna go back here, not in cutout, so make sure to go in material, not mesh. I'm gonna go here, and so the third one is actually 0 to leaf. Okay. Okay, so now we've successfully created all the material that we are gonna need to actually create the cross. So now, one thing that we can do is actually saving. So now if we crush, we actually save uh, and actually have all the texture, so the material that we were gonna need for this project. Okay, so now um, I'm gonna click on one. I'm gonna drag that into the div right there. And now I just want to show you how you can simply, wait, also if you're getting lost like me, so let's say you're there, you don't know where you are, you double click and it's gonna center uh, on the tree right there. So this one over there. Okay, so now I'm gonna actually go here in color. I'm gonna just click once on color, and as you can see now, we can actually change some of the setting. So for the color itself. So we can adjust the brightness, adjust the contrast, adjust the saturation as well. Of course, change the color and decrease the maximum and the minimum. So keep that in mind. So sometimes you do have a leaf and you actually don't very like the color and you actually want to change it. So of course you can simply go there. So change the brightness. So in this case, maybe I want to decrease the saturation, increase the contrast. Maybe not too much, and yeah, keep it like this. You can also increase the value right there. So um, I can like increase the normal if I want to have more detail to my leaf, which I don't really like. I can also change the glossiness. So this one, as you can see, if I put a 20, it's gonna change value. If I put 0, I won't have any glossiness. Yeah, and also very important, the subsurface. So in this case, if you go on the backside, because we're watching the leaf from the backside, we cannot actually see like very well the backside of it because it's very it's basically just full on shadow. So to fix that, in case we want to see it better from the backside of it, we can actually go so onto our texture and so take the base color right there, and we can actually plug that here on subsurface and this one over there as well. Okay, so in here, if I have a 0 value, that won't gonna change anything, but if I increase that to, let's say 1, as you can see now we can see better, and if I increase 2, we can see it even better, 3. So it's very up to you. So as you can see now, I think it's still more shadowy than the front side, and I'm actually pretty happy with this one. Maybe 5. Let's see with a very high value to actually see the difference. Okay, so now we actually have the same side on both sides. So I'm gonna go back with a 4 value, I believe. Okay. Okay, so now we actually gonna see how we can control the shape of a single leaf. So um, why would you want to do that? Because sometimes we do have created a texture, but we actually want to trick some of the shape of the leaf itself. So for example, in here, I'm gonna click on the leaf right there. So I'm gonna first hide the front. I'm gonna go here, and so for example here I can decrease the size of the X, and as you can see now we have a less wider leaf. So this could be very helpful to actually change the shape of the grass and actually create a randomness to our final grass that we're gonna create. And so there is two way of creating leaf. The first one is so actually using a leaf, like I showed before, and we are gonna see what control that we can have using the leaf. And the other way is by using so a trunk or a branch, and basically changing the skin from polygon to spine to place on top of that a front, and we can now change the front from changing the setting that we have on the trunk. So for example, the start angle, and so the gravity, and yeah. So basically, two different way of controlling the leaf, and so the grass that we are gonna create together. So first I'm gonna start talking about the leaf one. So I'm gonna hide the trunk in the front. So to do so, I'm just gonna select this and press H. I can also press H again to unhide it. So I'm gonna press H. So now I'm gonna jump into the leaf. So in here, if I start changing, so adding deformation to my leaf, we're gonna see a problem. So here on leaf, if you want to control actually the shape of the leaf, it's everything is in orientation. So we're gonna go and click on orientation right there, and as you can see here, if I change the fold of it, we can barely see any difference, except that we are only turning the leaf right there. And this is because we actually need to have more polygon to our leaf. So to do so, I'm actually gonna jump into this material. So always make sure that to make sure that we are on this material, you go in material, and in here you want to make sure that you have O1. So in here O1, I'm gonna click. So here in material, I'm gonna click here in edit, and so in here I'm actually gonna increase the vertices amount that we have on this leaf. So to do so, I can either place myself all the points like this, or I can use the tessellation amount. So if we use the tessellation amount, as you can see, SpeedTree just try to put all the vertices on top of the leaf that we can see here. So to actually showcase how it's going to affect the shape of this leaf, we're going to keep a value of 110 vertices and 155 faces. So I'm going to place that in high, medium, and low. And so now if I go to my leaf, and if I go to orientation, and if I fold it, as you can see, we can start to seeing a nice looking fold onto our leaf. And keep in mind that, so if I increase this to, let's say, something like this, keep in mind that the more vertices that you have on your leaf gonna increase the quality of the folding. So as you can see right there, I have a very high value of vertices, but we can clearly see the shape changing, and so the leaf folding very well. But in some cases that could be useful, but for video games, when you create a foliage, you actually don't want to have that much amount of vertices onto your foliage, especially if it's only one leaf and we are gonna have probably more than 100 on one mesh. So this could be useful with what we're gonna see later, but now I'm actually gonna decrease that to something like 100. So I'm gonna decrease the tessellation amount to something like here, make sure that I have all the same, and so I'm gonna turn the value of the fold to 0. So we can see the different deformation that we have here. So the curl, it's actually curling the leaf, as you can see right there. And twist, we're actually gonna twist the leaf like you see here. Okay, so of course the scale, you can change the X scale, the Z scale, the Y scale. I'm gonna go back to default value. You can also add vertex noise to it. So we can actually change the shape by just adding random pattern to our leaf. So I'm gonna maybe decrease that to something like this. And as you can see, we start creating and adding some noise onto our leaf. So we basically add randomness to our leaf right there. So I'm gonna double click, just zoom out, go back with basic value. And yeah, so that's pretty much it about the deformation and so the control of the shape that we can have on so the leaf on SpeedTree. Okay, so now I'm gonna hide the leaf. So left click on leaf, press H to hide it. And now I'm gonna select this, press H to actually see it. And so to do so, we can just simply, I'm gonna delete it to show how I create this. So we're gonna add geometry right there. And we're gonna select a trunk. Here I'm gonna change, so I'm gonna go in spine right there. And we're gonna change the length of it to 1. I'm gonna go in skin and simply just change from polygon. So as you can see here, we have vertices, so polygon, and I'm gonna change the skin to spine only. And as you can see now, we have basically no polygon, because it's actually just gonna control the shape of the feature front that we're gonna add on top of this. So I'm gonna right click there and add from. So as you can see here, if I select trunk, we actually gonna split by the middle the front with the spine. So that could be very useful in some of the leaf. For example, palm leaf, or banana leaf as well. But in some cases, it's better to use leaf. So for normal leaf as well, it's better to use leaf. But in some case, trunk and front. So use spine only, and front can be better in some other scenario. So to actually control the front, we need to first increase the segment of the trunk. So as you can see here, we have only one bond. And we need to increase that to have a better control of it. So I'm gonna go, while selecting trunk, I'm gonna go in segments. And in here, that's where we can actually control how much polygon that we have on everything. So basically here, if I go back to skin, if I go back to polygon, we have 40 triangle. If I go to segment, if I increase the absolute length, as you can see, we are starting to get more triangle right there. And as you can see, the shape is getting is a better quality. So if I go to 1, as you can see, it's very like sharp. And if I increase that, as you can see, it's getting just better. So I'm gonna go back in skin, change that to spine only, and yeah. So we went from 0 here to, yeah, maybe something like 70. Okay, so now I'm gonna unhide the front right there, and I'm gonna go in material. I'm gonna place the 0 on material onto the front. You can also add the material from there. So there were no actually material. I'm just gonna add one here. I'm gonna select the O1 material. And now we can actually control this leaf by controlling the trunk and also the front. So as you can see here, if I go in spine, for example, I can change start angle. I can also so change the gravity, so add gravity on it. As you can see. And so you can also go, There is more to control, but we're gonna see that later onto the video. So if you're getting lost like me, just double click and it's gonna bring you back to the middle screen. And so here we can actually also change the geometry of this. So we can go in geometry front and add a little bit of fold, some curl. We can roll it as well. So it's gonna twist it. We can make it so maybe gonna go back to default value to see it better. But we can go wider or smaller. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the basic of the control of the shape of the leaf. And so now we actually gonna start creating the shrub and so the grass itself. So there is actually two techniques that we can use to create grass. So the first one, it's the first one we're gonna do it together, and it's actually the one that we're gonna give the most polygon amount onto our set of grass. So I basically don't recommend it for video game. It's basically the purpose of that. It's more getting the best result in terms of quality, and just it could be used for cinema or to create some cinematic on Unreal. So we're gonna start by creating those one. So I'm gonna work with the first leaf. So I'm gonna actually create a grass only using this first leaf right there. So to do so, I'm gonna start by creating leaf. Here I'm gonna add the leaf. In here I'm gonna go in generation mode. I'm gonna bring the last value to 0. And in here I'm gonna go in orientation and I'm gonna change the value to 0 0.5 like we did before, and I'm gonna plug the material, so drag the material here and plug that into the leaf right there. Okay, so now I'm gonna go and jump in generation mode, so the generation window, sorry. And in here that's basically where we control how much and where we want to generate those leaves. So in here there is different mode, but for this one we can still use the absolute mode. And in here we can increase the number of it to something like 35. So because we are in absolute and we do have 35 in number, we do have 35 leaf onto our scene. And in here you can actually see the amount of leaf that you have in the scene, which is the number right there here. Okay, so now if I actually increase so the last value in boundary right there, so in generation window here, I will increase from where to where we're gonna spawn leaf. Okay, so I'm gonna go with value of so let's say this. I may be seeing that is too much center, so I'm gonna maybe increase a little bit the first value. Okay, and I think I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so now one thing that we can do, we can go in skin mode, so the skin window, sorry. And in here first, so let me introduce you to the variation window that we have on SpeedTree. So this is the small button that we have on basically all the parameter right there. And so this tool is used to create variation. So it's very easy to use and very useful for create randomness to our scene. I mean to our grass. So I'm just gonna press right there, and if I increase the variance, as you can see, all of the leaves gonna start to have a different so size in this case. And okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of size, I believe. And in here, So now we're gonna start to use the curve, which is another tool which is very, very, very useful on SpeedTree. And it's basically gonna control, uh, so in this case, the size, depending on where we are on the viewport. So for example, here, it's taking the tree. So the tree, it's basically this as relative points. So we basically go here, curve, and so we are basically going to change the value, and the value going to depend on of where the grass is. So basically in here, so at the very beginning, so at the start, if we decrease this value, so to, let's say, to 0 to showcase, so basically at the very start of the tree circle right there, basically the size is going to be at 0, and at the very end the size is going to be at what we have in here. So that we can basically control so the size depending of the place of the grass on our so tree generator. Okay, so one thing that we actually want to do is we take this and we want to decrease that because we want to have so the smaller leaf on the outside of the set of grass. So I'm gonna decrease that. Now I maybe want to go back in generation, and I maybe want to go and increase this amount to something like this. Okay, so now I maybe want to have more variation to this. So I'm gonna go and click on so generation, double click to go back to the leaf, and in here I actually want to change the position a bit. I'm gonna maybe add a little bit of variation onto the position. So generation window, position, and adding a little bit of variation on the position. So we have a little bit of more randomness to this. Maybe more, maybe I actually want to split that more a bit. Something like this, yeah. I think pretty happy with the result. And so now one thing that we can do, it's actually rotating those leaves. So in here, we're gonna add variation to this. So I'm just gonna add this much. I'm pretty happy with the result as well. Okay. Okay, so right now, I think the set of grass is looking pretty repetitive. So we want to change that, of course. So we're gonna jump onto the orientation window now. So we can jump back later to maybe increase the distribution, like so. Maybe the number as well, but we're gonna stay with that for now. So I'm gonna jump in, so the leaf orientation, and in here we're gonna see what we can control to actually create more randomness to our set of grass. So first, as you can see, pretty much all the leaves are pointing on the same direction. They're all aligned, and we actually want to change that. So as you can see here in final adjustment in right, if we change that, they're gonna all turn on the right or the left. So one thing that we want to do, we want to add variance, so variation to that, and I'm just gonna increase that. And so now basically all the same, I mean all the leaves are not looking the same way, which creates more randomness to our set of grass. And now in here, as you can see, the fold is basically doing the same, so we won't touch that. The align gonna control this. One thing that we can actually do is So we're gonna leave it as it is, so 0. And we can control the curve. So basically here we want the leaf on the outside, facing outside, and the leaf on the inside facing pretty much the sky. So to do so, I'm gonna do so this. And so first I increase this value, and I'm gonna so bring the right point here on the top, and so the left point right there. Okay, and so now one thing that we can do is add a little bit of variation to this, like so. So they're not all following the same way, same path. Okay, so the face, we actually won't gonna touch that, so I'm gonna keep it as 0, or maybe can add a little bit of variation, but it's not very necessary. So now, so I want to make sure and see how much polygon that I have. So I have a lot of polygons, so now we can actually deform the leaf. So one thing that we can do, we can first see what it does. So we basically, so folding the leaf right there. So one thing that we can do, of course, it's so we're gonna go in here and add a little bit of variation to this. I mean, not a little bit, but I would say a lot, like this. And now in curl, we actually want to increase this. Maybe just keep 0 and add only variation. Not too much. Maybe one thing that we can do is increasing the amount of curl and changing the curve right there. To make sure that so the more curve are on the outside of the set of grass, like here. So I do think that we need to increase the number, but I want to make sure that I have the best setting for them before increasing the amount and changing the final adjustment. So one very important thing that we can do is actually changing, so first maybe the scale, and after the vertex to add more randomness to each leaf. So like here, if we decrease that to something like this, as you can see, changing a lot the shape of the leaf. So one thing that we can do, it's actually adding variance to that. So we have a smaller and wider leaf, like so. And do the same for the y-axis, like this. Not too much. And we can add a little bit of vertex on the leaf to changing drastically the shape of it. Not too much, but because it's gonna deform too much the shape of it. So just to showcase, here I increase the amount, and I'm actually gonna decrease the noise scale. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with this result. So now we can actually change the number of how much leaf that we have in here by a lot to something like this. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a lot of polygon. So one thing that we can do, but keep in mind that it is still the technique which gives the most polygon, and that's something that we don't want in video game. So keep in mind that in all case, we will have way less polygon in the other technique. But in case you still want to use this technique to making grass for your game, you can just go there, go in material in here. So select the material that you use onto your leaf. So in this case, is the O1. And in here, I'm gonna edit this. And I'm actually gonna decrease the vertices. But we actually don't want to decrease too much, because if we decrease too much, let's say, so the lowest one, as you can see there, because we changed the curl and everything, we basically won't have any curl, but we do actually reduce the polygon amount of this drastically. So maybe one thing that we can do, it's actually keeping a little bit to something like 20. And one thing that we can do is also using LD, which is very useful for this case. So yeah, so I'm gonna have 70 vertices on this one right there, which let me see, I believe it is perfect. And so now I'm gonna decrease the amount to, let's say, something like 20 right there, and 4 for the last one. Okay, so now if I'm in high resolution right there, I see the highest mesh. If I go in medium, I see the medium one, so we have less polygon. So we went from 30k to 7k, and in the lowest we go back to 600 right there. So to create the LOD, we need to click on tree right there, and we're going to go in LOD, and we need to enable this. We need to change the number of how much LOD that we want. We actually going to use 3 of these. One thing that we maybe want to do, it's actually I'm gonna change the curve of all of those to the max, maybe to showcase this. If we go to the lowest point, we basically are gonna remove some of the leaves until we have basically none. So basically, if I go, so here is where you can control your LD. So right there I'm in the highest LD, right there I'm in the medium LD, and right there I'm in the lowest one. So as you can see with this curve, we control how much leaf that we want depending on the LD that we're on. But I don't think in this case we want to change that, because we actually want to keep, even if we go further back, the amount of leaf that we want. We just want to decrease the amount of polygon of each leaf. So I'm gonna go back and click here to max, so we keep this as it is, and as you can see here, we're keeping the same amount of leaf. Okay, so now I'm gonna jump and click on leaf. I'm gonna jump in LD. So one setting that we have, it's the scale factor. So as you can see there, if I increase LD, I also increase the scale of the leaf. So let's say if I put a value of 10, as you can see, the further I go on the LOD, the more scale that I have on my leaf. So maybe it's up to you. You can you maybe want to increase the size of it, but in this case, I'm just gonna decrease the scale factor to 0, and here is the mesh index. So this one's gonna basically control this over there. So the high amount of vertices that we generate for the highest one, the medium one, and the lowest one. So basically, you need to set up this curve to here, because of course, if it is here, we won't gonna change any LOD, because we're gonna keep the highest one. But if I decrease this curve to here, now as you can see, we're gonna use the LOD that we put so in here in the cutouts on each LOD. So the highest one use the highest one, and the medium one use the 7k one, and the lowest one is 600. So as you can see there, we went from there to this. So we basically can now in Unreal Engine have these grass and make them way more performance optimized for our game. And one last thing which is very important for grass in video game, and that's we want to make sure to use. It's first, of course, you can use so the wine that's it's included in SpeedTree, but I prefer using vertex. So we're gonna see how to use vertex. So how to see vertex first? We need to go in render mode, and we're gonna go in vertex color, and we're gonna select color. So as you can see there, we have basically no vertex on our grass, and that's one thing that we want to change. So to do so, there is two different way. The first way is actually jumping back to our leaf. So material, edit, leaf, right there. It is better to do it at the very beginning of creating this leaf. But we're gonna do it right now. So to do so, we're gonna click on vertex color right there. First thing that we want to do is actually clearing everything and fill with black. We will see why. And I'm gonna increase the size of my paint to this. And now I'm gonna apply that vertex color. So this to the leaf, and now I'm gonna apply this. So as you can see here, we have the red and black at the very bottom. And in here, I want to have the same amount of vertices, so 20. I'm gonna apply this and the lowest one in here. Okay. So now to apply this, we're gonna go and click on leaf. We're gonna click on all. We're gonna scroll down until we see so vertex. No, first thing that we need to do is we go to tree generation. So we click on tree right there. We go on all. We're gonna scroll down and look for vertex color. Now we're gonna select this, so compute. So to make sure that we are using vertex, we need to first it's this checkbox over there. So we click on compute. I'm gonna lower the blue value to 0. So now we have basically no data to our leaf. So now we're gonna go and jump on leaf. Now that we select this, we're gonna jump in vertex color. And in here, one thing that I want to do is I want to go in mesh asset. So because in mesh asset right there, we did apply the vertex color directly on the leaf. If here I apply this and increase this amount, as you can see, we did apply the vertex color that we paint onto the leaf itself right there. So there is this way to do it, or the easiest way for me would be this. So basically right there, I'm just gonna undo what I've just done. So I'm going in vertex color, and I just gonna lower this contribution value right there. And so one thing that I want to do is first, of course, you need to compute the vertex color, and next we go in leaf. We go in vertex color, and in here we're gonna set the value. So I want to set a value of 1. So as you can see there, we have so red everywhere, but we actually want to change that because at the very bottom of the leaf we want black. So when we apply wine onto our leaf, we actually are not adding wine on the very bottom of the leaf, but only on the top. And so there, in leaf, so vertex color, we want to change the curve. So to do so, I'm actually going to change the blue curve, not the green one, the blue one. And in here, so the left point, the very left point, we want to bring that at the very bottom right there. So as you can see now, at the very bottom, we have basically a value of 0, so pure black. And the more we go on top, the more red that we have on the leaf. And I believe in my eyes, it is a better way of putting vertex color on the leaf, because we are adding a more natural effect on the grass itself. Okay, So from there, we have a very high intensity of poly inside this mesh right there, and that's not something that you want in video games. So we're gonna see how, with some of the technique that we can use on SpeedTree, we can reduce this poly count very drastically. And so first, of course, you can just basically just change and create LOD for the leaf right there. So you can still maintain some of the shape that we have there, and changing the polygon that we have on the mesh right there. So you can just basically go in cutout mesh, go here, try to decrease the number by maintaining the shape that we want. So basically I'm gonna move this over there. I'm gonna watch until I lose the shape and it's getting ugly. So I think right there we're still okay with the shape of it. We can still decrease the amount, something like this for the LOD here. So now I think I'm pretty okay as well with the shape. And if I decrease the LOD, I went from 7K so to 3K. But here, as you can see, we start losing the shape because we actually curling and folding the leaf. But because we don't have enough polygon on the mesh, we're getting this weird artifact. Okay, so now we're gonna see how we can actually create a very low poly grass without losing any quality, basically. So we're gonna start from roasting. So I'm gonna just delete that, basically. And from there, I'm gonna add a new leaf. I could have kept the other one, but I'm gonna start over with a new one. And I'm gonna bring that to the center, so the very center. I'm gonna rotate that 0.5. So orientation in out, a final adjustment 0.5, just to make it facing the sky. And from there, we're actually gonna use a new leaf. So we're gonna take this one, I believe. Yeah, let's take this one and maybe another one. Let's see this one. Is it this one? Okay. Yeah, let's take those two one. So here is the iPhone one. Here is the one with the camera. So I'm gonna take. I'm just gonna take the 3 and the 4. Okay, for this. So basically, right there, I'm gonna just increase the amount of grass that we have by not a large number. And here in generation, I'm just gonna increase the last value to make them a bit wider. Okay, now I'm gonna go in material, and in material, I'm gonna add a new one. And in here, I'm gonna select the, I think it was the 4th one. Yeah, okay. Okay, and so from there, one thing that we need to do is we need to click here on perspective. And we're gonna click on X and Z plane. Okay, so now we are not in 3D view. We are in X and Z plane 2D view, basically. And so from there, we are actually gonna click, so right click on the viewport right there. We're gonna go in Windows. We're gonna go in property right there. So that's gonna bring us some setting right there. So here on the left side of the screen, and in here, screenshot save frame, we're gonna click and check the box show. Okay, and so from there, we're actually gonna see what we're gonna take as a screenshot. But first, we're gonna just change some of the setting on the leaf. So we are gonna create basically a 2D group of grass. So here, one thing that we can do, we can actually increase very high the number of the leaf. So basically here, I'm gonna go in cutout. I'm gonna increase the tessellation amount by a lot, not too much, because I don't really need it. But I'm gonna have 200 per leaf, which is gonna cost me, of course, a lot of polygon. on the group of grass, but we're just gonna keep this as a screenshot at the end, so we don't care about polygon right there. Okay, so now I'm pretty good. So now we actually gonna change the skin. So I'm gonna go in skin, so in leaf. I'm gonna just add some variance so we don't have the same size on both. But one thing I actually want to do is I want to decrease the value the further I go away from the center. Right there, I'm gonna actually maybe decrease a little bit the variance so I can keep the shape that I want. Okay, from there, I'm maybe gonna increase the last value. So I just split them more to the side, like so. I think. Yeah, maybe one thing I'm gonna do actually for this one, I'm maybe gonna not use the 4 leaf. I'm just gonna use the third one. So this one over there. And so now I'm gonna go in generation and I'm gonna increase the number. Okay, and so here we gonna change some of the setting in orientation. So I'm gonna add a little bit of curl onto the leaf. Maybe not all of them. I'm actually gonna add some variants to them. Here I actually wanna change this value. So the right in final adjustment, I want to add variance to this. It's gonna pivot them to the right basically. So they're not facing all the same way. And here I'm gonna add some curl. Maybe I actually wanna have more curl on the side. So here I'm gonna, so in the curve, I'm gonna decrease the right value here, here to the middle. And now I'm gonna add some curl value. And in here, I actually need to do the opposite. So bring this one. So in the same curve, below here. And maybe, yeah, I'm just gonna increase here. This one over there. And now I can actually add some variance to this, like so. Here, I'm gonna add some twist. So we twist them a bit. Like so. I think one thing that I actually want to do, maybe yeah, first maybe let's add some variance to the x value. So to remind x value do this, and so y value do this. So I'm actually gonna just increase this to get to randomize everything there, like so. Okay, I seem pretty happy with the result. One thing that we can do as well, it's so we can go here in the mesh that we have on sorry, in the so the texture, the material that we have onto our mesh. So right here, I'm gonna go in material, so the third one, so 3 here. I actually gonna go here in setting, and we have this option right there. So this is a variation. So we basically, by adding some amount to it, so right here, as you can see, if I add some variation, we will have some different color to our leaf. But I won't use it too much because we are actually getting some weird color. I mean, not natural color to the leaf. So I'm actually gonna just increase it a little bit, like so. Okay. And so from there, I'm actually gonna do one thing. I'm gonna take this. So I'm gonna just click on it. I'm gonna Control D to duplicate. And here I'm gonna plug this one to the tree. So now we don't see any difference because they're basically the same. But one thing that I want to do, so by clicking on one of those now, I'm gonna click on skin and I'm gonna decrease the size to something like here. I'm actually gonna have more variance to that. I'm gonna maybe change its position a little bit, like so. Maybe increase the first value, so we have less in the center. maybe to here, I believe. Now I'm gonna increase the number to something like this. And now I want to fade them. So one thing that we can do, it's actually in the size, so the skin and size. We're gonna go here and increase the value of the mid one, like so. And the further they're on the side, the further they're smaller, like so. Yeah, it's a pretty good result that we got right there. So as you can see, we have 46,000 polygon, which is way too much, but we don't care because we are not using this as a mesh, but just as a texture. So now I'm actually gonna place the bottom part of the grass, sorry for that. And I'm so actually gonna place, it doesn't really matter where you place it, but it's just simpler after to use it as a texture. So I'm just gonna place the bottom part of my grass to the bottom part of this red screen that we can see right there. So I'm seeing I'm pretty okay with the result right here. And now one thing that I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna press F10 on my keyboard. So F10, and it's gonna bring up this page. So this is basically to print every texture. So we're gonna print basically render the color channel, the normal, the opacity, and we can even add more. So one thing that I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna increase that to so 4K resolution, so 4096 basically. Now I'm gonna keep everything as it is right here. And so I already have this in preset because I already use it. But in case you don't have this by default, we're gonna do it together. So you can just add right here, image. Now you can rename it as you want. So I'm gonna call this a color 2. I'm gonna not name in color because I already have one, so color 2. And right here, I'm gonna keep so RGB standard. And in alpha, I'm actually gonna go and look for material first and color. Okay. So now that we have our color. So if we click OK, we actually gonna have so the color, and we can add so the other one, so the normal, and the opacity. Of course, you can have more in case you have more channel to this, but I'm gonna keep it as it is with just normal color and opacity. And so we are renaming it, so normal and opacity. And now you can actually click OK. I'm just gonna delete the tree that I've just created. But so as you can see, we have color, normal, and opacity. So I'm gonna click OK. Now I'm actually gonna go and look for my folder. So where is this? Okay, right here. Okay, so now I think it's better to actually making a folder for this, because usually when you create grass, you're gonna have maybe a lot of variation, because of course it is better to have more variation to our grass in the final mesh that we're gonna create with this texture. So it is better to just make a folder, name it screenshot, go inside of it, and just rename it as 01. So we're gonna have all of our texture that we're screenshotting from this viewport inside one folder. So I'm actually gonna look inside my folder right there. And in here, as you can see, we now have the tree channel that we just created together. So this one over there, which is so the color, this one which is normal, and this one which is the opacity mask. Okay, and so from there, so you can either add some variation to it. So let's say here I can basically just randomize it. So I have different variation of this group of grass, which I can do right now. So I'm gonna press F10. Of course, I keep my presets from before. So I'm gonna just click OK. I'm gonna go in, so it's gonna be in the same folder. Now I'm gonna rename it as 02. I'm gonna wait for it to compute, and as you can see there, I just create so a new variation, a new set of group of grass. And so from there, you can either save it. I advise you to save it. So don't save, just save as. So you have a different, so you're gonna save these two leaf with the same screen. And so it will be ready to actually creating the screenshot for your model. So I can rename it as Atlas screenshot product. And so I'm going to save it. So now if I basically do this and I go back to, I'm going to, so click no, because I don't want to save what I just delete. Now I'm going to go there. So if I go on grass 01, now I'm going to have, so the same project as before, this one. And so if I go on screenshot project, now I will have my everything ready to basically create screenshots. So I'm going to close that because I'm not going to use more than 2. So the 2 we just made together. And from there, I'm actually going to delete this leaf right there. And now I'm going to start importing my new material. So in here, I'm going to rename the new material as screenshot 01. And I'm gonna go in my folder, look for a screenshot folder. I'm gonna import the color, the normal, and the opacity. I'm gonna import a new one. I'm gonna rename it as screenshot 02. Now I'm gonna take this, place the color here, the normal here, the opacity here. I'm actually gonna bring a leaf so we can visualize our mesh that we just create. So our texture basically. So in Gen, I'm gonna change this to 0, double click to focus on it. And in here, add a value of 0.5. Okay. So here, I'm gonna take the screenshot 01 in here. And as you can see, we now have our texture, which is only 2 polygon, and we have way more detail than one leaf that we got from before. So in here, I'm gonna click two-sided, of course, because we want to see the back of it. One thing that we can actually do is I'm actually gonna bring so this folder, and I'm gonna actually place the color inside the 2 subsurface here, right there, and I'm gonna increase the value to something like maybe 3. Yeah, 3 will be decent. Yeah. And now I think I actually want to remove the gloss. Yeah. Or maybe a little bit, 0.1. Yeah, I'm okay with that, okay. And so from there, we're gonna work with this mesh right there. So first, we're gonna increase the number of it, of course, to something like 20. Now we actually gonna increase so in generation the last value to like so. Now I think there too much group on the center, so I'm gonna increase this value. If one thing that we forgot to do is actually we're gonna edit. So in material here, while selecting the screenshot, so this material right there, I'm gonna edit this, and we're gonna generate the points in here. So we place the anchor on the very middle. I'm gonna place that into high, medium, and low. And now we have the full mesh right now. Okay. So now I'm just gonna add maybe some variation. So I'm gonna maybe decrease the one on the side, like so. One thing that we can do is, because we have such a low poly model right there, we can maybe add a little bit of polygon. So I'm maybe gonna place one over there, one over there, one over there, one over there, and one over there. So we can actually have some control to our mesh. So I'm gonna just have just 5 of them. Place one for the medium LOD. I'm gonna click done, and now I can go to orientation, and I can maybe try to fold them. Actually, the fold is not the best when you don't have a lot of polygon, so I won't touch that too much, because we don't want to do a high poly. We want to have like an actual mesh that you can like implement into your game and have a lot of them while preserving performance. So we want to keep the low, so the lowest polygon that we can have. So in here I'm gonna add some variance into the call, so they're not actually facing the same direction. In here, one thing that we can do, we can add some variance into the right. So in here we add some variance, so they're not facing the same way. Okay. Now we need to actually I'm gonna decrease maybe the amount of polygon that we have on this mesh, because I don't think I want to fold too much, so I want to keep it very low poly. So in here, one thing that we can do now is we can implement our second screenshot, so this one over there. So first we're gonna edit. I'm gonna generate the slice here. I'm gonna place the anchor on the middle, like so. I'm gonna create a point in the middle here for high and medium. I'm gonna remove it for the lowest one. I'm gonna click done. I'm gonna go back here in setting, make sure that it is two-sided. So in this second one, and now, so while clicking in leaf, I'm gonna go in material, and in here in material, we're gonna click on this plus button right here, and I'm gonna select the screenshot too. Okay, so now we have two variation of it. Yeah, one thing that we forgot to do is we need to add subsurface to the screenshot too. So I'm gonna go in my folder. I'm gonna add so the color inside subsurface, and we had a value of 3. So I'm gonna add a value of 3. I'm pretty okay with the result. And so now one thing that we can do, so you first need to create the shape of the grass that you want. So this shape right there is pretty okay with me. One thing that I can do is maybe I want to make it wider, like this. Maybe not too much, add a little bit of variance. Okay, I think pretty okay with the result. And now, one thing we need to do, we need to control D, the leaf. So the same leaf. And now I'm gonna place it here. So of course we don't see the result because they're the same. And now one thing that we need to do, we need to select one of the leaf, go in orientation, and in the right setting, we're just gonna add some of the value. Like so. And now we're gonna have way more depth into our mesh. So even if it's only basically a 2D mesh that we have here on the scene, we'll start creating some like 3D shape with our grass basically. So of course the result may vary a lot between the leaf that you have. So of course keep in mind that you can change the orientation, some of the setting right there. So when you did this, so when you duplicate the leaf and you turn, you add value on the right, so you made them turn and basically made them a bit more 3D, I would say. If you want to change something, you need to actually select both of them. And now that you select both of them, you can now actually maybe split them and add more variation to it. But keep in mind that you need to actually select both of them. So I can add some variation here. I'm actually I want to do some of these. Maybe maybe want to increase the number, like so. So 300. I think I'm pretty okay with the result. Keep in mind that you rather don't have a very large one, because when you're gonna place it on your landscape, you actually want them to fit on your landscape. So if you have some slope on your landscape, you want to avoid grass, clipping through the landscape, or just flying above the landscape. Okay, so from there, we actually want to see how it looks like inside a video game. So we need to add wine to our model. So of course, later in the video, we're gonna create inside Unreal Engine a wine material function that functions very well with grass. We can control a lot with a lot of setting. It's very simple to use. You can use it on basically all the kind of grass and all kind of bush, and even sometime if you create it well, tree as well. But yeah. So we're gonna do this. To do so, we need to implement some vertex color to the mesh. We've done it before. We're gonna do it again. But first, maybe you want to see how the grass will look like with the wine. So inside SpeedTree, we have a wine effect that we can just simply implement onto our mesh. It is very easy to use and very functional. So to do so, we're gonna click in wine and edit wine property. In here, we're gonna scroll here and watch for the main here. I'm gonna so basically enable it, and in here we have tree mode, so visual effect for basically movies, game, which actually work a bit basically not well with this kind of grass, because we're using 2D grass. They basically are I don't know, like working as it is a simple leaf, so a small leaf. And so legacy Unreal Engine, and in here we can control the preset, so the preset of how the wine will affect this, so fastest, etc, etc. So I'm gonna use just a better one, this one after. Of course, here you have some of the setting. You can control the strength of the wine, so I increase the strength. As you can see here, we can see the strength of the actual wine. Of course, it is way too high, so I'm gonna bring that here. So in Wine Wizard here, we need to actually basically explain to SpeedTree what is it, I mean, what kind of wine we need, depending on what model and what we are creating. So in this case, we have grass. So I'm just gonna select grass, of course. In here, the condition so is basically gonna be how the wine is gonna, the strength of the wine basically. And in here, so the leaf, in here, I think in default is in small roast leaf, but we are actually using 2D grass, so we have not just a single leaf. We have so basically a 2D plane with a lot of leaf. So we'd rather use the wide and flat front. So it's gonna affect with the wine better with this mesh, and I'm gonna keep it so leaf needle on both right there. And yeah, so for some reason is not, oh, it's because it is in palm, so I'm gonna select better again. And so when you done that, you can actually so import it right here. We're gonna talk about exporting later on the video. I won't talk too much about it, but in here in file tab, we're gonna file type, we're gonna select so Unity and Unreal Engine. Here you will select all of the settings that we're gonna explain together later in the video. And so it's gonna export the wine inside the mesh, and as soon as you import it inside Unreal Engine, you will have everything pretty much ready to be used, and so have the wine effect onto your leaf. Okay, so now we're gonna control LOD, so to maintain performance inside the game, making sure that is as much optimized as is it could be. So from there, so as you can remember, here we created the LOD in here. So in this case, I'm not very changing the shape of the grass, like here. But maybe if you add some shape onto your grass, we will have different LOD. So in here, let's say I have 7 to the first, I will have maybe 5 to the medium, and so 4 to the last one. I'm gonna do the same for the second one. So in here I go edit. I'm gonna add some more points to this, like this. So I'm gonna change this one. I'm gonna remove those 2. I'm gonna place it in medium, and now I'm good. And so now we're gonna go in tree, so in LOD, and we want to enable the LOD first. So click here. Now it really depends on your choice. You can have either 1, 0, 2, 3 LOD, as much as you want. I don't think we need too much because it is a grass, so it is not very complex. We cannot control a lot in terms of LOD with this kind of grass. So I think I'm gonna keep LOD, maybe I will keep LOD 3. And so in here, by default, you're gonna have the curve all like this. So this is basically controlling how much grass that we will have. So in here, if I basically move this all the way to the bottom, like so, and if I decrease the LOD, as you can see here, we are basically removing everything. So that could be used in some of the case. We're gonna use it a little bit, but I'm gonna go further into explain how to use it. So in here, I'm actually gonna keep it like so. And in here, in LOD, so this is mesh index. So basically, if I put this here, and I decrease that, so I will watch my polygon amount, sorry. And as you can see, I'm basically not losing any polygon. Even if I have different LOD there, it's because we actually need to use mesh index. So basically, if I do this, is actually gonna use this time these different LOD that we create here. So as you can see here, I went from 688 to 340, and finally the last 170. So to do so, just basically put the right all the way to the bottom and the left all the way to the top. And so in here, we have the scale factor. So we basically are using that to actually scaling up the leaf. That could be used in some case where you actually decreasing the amount of leaf that you have on your LOD, and you actually want to keep the shape of it. So we're adding some scale factor. So we're kind of like keeping the same shape, even if we go for. But in this case, we actually won't use that. So I'm just going to decrease the scale factor to 0. And so in here, the weight is actually so spreading and saying to SpeedTree what leaf that we're gonna remove if we actually changing the curve right there. So if I decrease this, so this curve leave all the way there, and I go back to my LOD on the leaf, and if the weight, I will control the curve. So saying, so let me first making sure that both LOD have a scale of 0. And so in here, if the weight it's at 1 here, and I move the curve to the bottom here, as you can see, if I decrease the LOD, we're basically gonna lose the leaf on the side. So basically, outside of the center. And if I do this on the opposite side, as you can see, we are gonna lose the leaf at the center of the mesh. So that can be used to actually remove some of the grass where you actually want. So in this case, we're actually gonna use that. So I think I want to remove some of the leaf in the middle, but we want to keep some of them. So I'm actually gonna place that here, and in tree, I'm gonna maybe increase the value right there, because we actually don't want to delete too much of the grass to actually keep and preserve the shape. I think it's even too much. So one thing that we can do, we can place in the lowest LOD right there, keep it like this. I'm gonna go in LOD, and in here, I'm maybe gonna add some variance. And of course, we need to increase this value here. Like so. Okay, so I say I'm pretty happy with the result. We're getting around 90 polygon to our mesh. Maybe one thing that I want to do, I want to actually decrease this value right there, because I think we're losing too much leaf still. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with this result. Okay, and so yeah, we're pretty good now. So we went to from 344 polygon per leaf, so 688 to 118. One thing that you can do, of course, in this case, I don't think we actually need to have more more than 4 vertices. So we can actually just basically generate 4 vertices to our leaf, so both of them. And go inside screenshots to remove that, like so. And now we actually have 172 polygon to our mesh. And so in this case, so for the sake of this model grass right there, go in here, do only 2 LOD like this. Sorry for that. Whoops. And go in here. And yeah, that's basically it. And so in close range, so the closest LD, so LD 0 basically, we having so 172 triangle. And so if we go away, we're getting 118 basically. Okay, so I think we're done with this mesh. So we've created the vertex color, we've created so the model, we are making sure that we have the best performance with it, so we're optimizing it, and we also seen how to implement wine into it, but we will see later in Unreal how to create our own wine. And yeah, so that's basically it. I won't show export because we're gonna jump inside another model, but we will talk about export later on the video. Okay, so now I'm actually gonna repeat this process, but we are gonna create another model so we can see the difference that we can have between some of the model using different some material to it. So I'm gonna go jump in my folder. Here I'm gonna open screenshot project, the one that we saved before. I'm gonna click no. Okay, so here now I want to delete so one of the leaf. I want to keep one of the leaves, so we keep the position. And so in here, one thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna select this one, so 5, which is so basically this one. I think I want to do one thing is decrease the number of leaf. And now I'm gonna control D twice. I'm gonna place them like so. And so in here, I want to change this to 6, and this one to 7, like so. Okay, so now I want to place them depending on so the shape that they have, so I can have like a good result to the final product that we're gonna make. Okay, so I think this one, so the largest one, one thing that I want to do, I maybe want to increase the size of it. I actually want to keep them lower on the side, like so. Maybe increase the number of them. I don't want to have a very large texture at the end. So I'm gonna keep them fairly close to each other, like so. Okay. One thing that I don't really like on this one, I think over there, which are so 07. I'm gonna go there, cut out the mesh, and yeah. So I just want to remove the bottom part of it. I think do something like this, like this. Now I'm gonna change. Okay, I prefer this. Okay, so this one right there, or this one right here, I think we wanna keep them as the lower part of this group of grass. So I'm just gonna decrease the size of it. I think I still want to have larger in the middle, smaller on the side, and we want to increase the number amount of this, like so. So that was this one over there. So I think we still have some fold and variation to that from earlier. One thing that we can do is we can increase a line so we can have them bending like this. Now I'm gonna go back to generation, and I'm actually gonna increase the last value a little bit, so it's go like wider. And so to fade better, I'm actually gonna go in, so the same leaf here in its skin, I'm actually gonna increase the value on the middle, so the middle one, like here, so it's fading better. Okay, seem pretty okay with the result. Now we're gonna jump into the first one right here, and so I think the size of it, we don't want too much, like this. Of course, I'm gonna increase the number of those, something like that. Maybe I want to align them a little bit like this. Okay, I think I'm pretty okay with the result. I like it. I maybe want to decrease size of this one, like this, and maybe, or maybe center them, but just we're gonna use align like this. Okay, just maybe increasing the number as well, like so. Just a little bit the skin, the size of it. Okay, so now I'm pretty happy with the result right there. One thing that I want to avoid is this kind of grass. Because we're gonna see it when we are gonna have a lot of them on the other scene. Okay, I see I'm pretty okay with this result. Okay, so now I'm gonna place my screen in here, so where I actually want to keep it. Okay, so here, so now I'm gonna press F10 again. I'm gonna change the value to 4096 on both, making sure that I have color, normal, and opacity. I'm gonna click OK. Same folder. We're gonna change the name to 03. Gonna wait for it to compute. Now I'm actually gonna maybe do another one. So I'm gonna just randomize it until I get a good shape. I seem like this one. Not sure. I like this one. So I'm gonna press F10 again. Click OK. 04. So now we're gonna jump back inside so this project again. I think we can pretty much keep the everything that we got there. We're just gonna basically just change the material. And so here I'm gonna rename this as screenshot 03, like so. Now I'm gonna open this folder screenshot. So the third one, gonna place everything. Good. I'm gonna do the same for next one, like so. Yeah, one thing that I maybe want to do, it's actually, so placing the color inside subsurface. We'll see if we want to use it later, but I'm gonna do it for both in case, like so. Okay, so now we can actually so go here in material, select both actually, and we're gonna change that to so screenshot 03 and screenshot 04, like so. Okay, now one thing that we actually need to do is we need to change those right there. So I'm gonna edit the mesh, generate. I think I want to keep 4 vertices for this one as well. So I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna go material setting. I want to making sure that they are two-sided. I'm gonna do the same for the other one. So two-sided as well. Click on edit, generate. I'm okay with the anchor and place the LOD. Okay, I think I already like the result of it. We'll see if we can maybe change the subsurface to change the color. Of course, if you want, you can change the color to all of your leaf. You can so change the subsurface. So in this case, I'm gonna add maybe a value of let's see with 10, just to actually see. Like it better, not really. Yeah, I think I'm gonna add a value of 3 on both. So 3 for both. And yeah, maybe not 3. It's depend on your preference, of course, as long as it is looking good. And yeah, so I'm pretty happy with the result. Of course, we can change some of the setting to control the shape. We can like decrease the size of it. So decrease the size of it, maybe make them more group like this. So we have like small grass. Maybe actually making more variance to the size like this. We can go in orientation. So align does this. We can maybe add a little bit to it, like so, not too much, because the grass is gonna actually clip onto the ground. So not too much. Can of course add some variance to this, like so. Yeah, I'm pretty okay with the result. And now if you are okay with the result, you can are not happy, you can just simply go back and forth between those two. So if you don't like anything, you can just basically, let's say in this case, maybe I don't like on the very top those small leaf. I think I see them too much actually. So I think maybe in here I can actually go in this one over there and lower number to something very low, which we are not seeing because they're not two-sided actually. So to something very low like this, maybe even lower, like 3, maybe increase the size, no, not too much actually, like this. Now I can press F10, save this as 0.5, go in here, so use the same screenshot. So if I'm not really happy with this one, so I'm gonna use also screenshot 3. I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna just replace this. So all of these, replace the color, making sure that it's well made for this one by replacing the vertex points. And so in here, it is screenshot 3. So maybe I will remove screenshot 4 so we can only see the one we just made before. And yeah, so we can go like back and forth and just create a new material and just place new one on top of each other. Why do I get this? Okay. And yeah, just simply play with it and see what is better to you. Okay, so now we're gonna actually start doing a shrub, so a little shrub, little smush, bush. Of course, it can be used as a bush depending on the scale of the mesh that we're gonna create. So to do so, we're gonna use both same project. So maybe I'm gonna keep that for now. So I'm gonna jump actually in here. So we can leave it like so. And so in here, we're gonna talk about some of the tool and technique that we can use to actually creating a shrub. So in here, as you can see in 0.2, we have this kind of like little branch with leaf on top, which are took from a little shrub. And so in here, I'm gonna keep, so I'm gonna Control Z. I think I made it crash. It's okay, we're gonna reopen it. So yeah, I'm gonna delete one of these, and so in here, I actually want to use from in this case, so we can delete it anyway. So we're gonna use this one. So I'm gonna just go here. I'm gonna go back to perspective mode just for controlling better. And I'm gonna double click in case I get lost. And in here, we're gonna add trunk. So first we are adding trunk to it. Now we have a size of 25. We want to lower that. So I'm gonna go in spine. In spine, I'm gonna decrease that to something like, no, even lower, 1. Yeah, that would be good. So now I'm gonna go in skin. I'm gonna select spine only. So we only have this. Okay, so now the bush gonna be, his size is gonna be, 1 meter. I think it's even too tall, but we will see later. So as you can remember, for this, so when we use spine only, so we are gonna use front, we need to actually increase the segment. So as you can see now, we have only 3 of them. So we won't have a good control if we add some gravity to it. as you can see here, if I add some gravity, we won't have the best control of it. So of course, to have this, we need to go in segment in here and actually increasing the length absolute in here. So we do actually have more. And now, as you can see, we have a way better control on the shape of this spine. Okay, so I'm gonna reset this to 0.5, this to 0. And now I'm gonna add front to this. So right click, adding front, and now I'm gonna place so the 0.2 onto the front, like so. Okay. So right there, I'm pretty okay with that. Of course, if we want it to clip it on the ground, we can go in tree in here, and we can just sink it a little bit, like so, until it's going to the ground. Okay. So now, one thing I want to do is maybe I want to remove the gloss like this. Maybe I want to change the color of this, the contrast. I think I want to go with something like that. Okay, and so from there, we can go in generation in here, so in trunk, and we can just simply add way more of those, like this. I think the center point, so in first and last, we want to keep 0 and 0. And one thing that we're gonna use to create the shape, we're gonna control this with the spine. So to do so, I'm gonna simply just open this by just going in spine orientation and moving the start angle point right there, like so. Yeah, I will do one thing. I will just increase the last a little bit, like this, exactly. So like this. I'm gonna go jump back to spine and changing the start angle on the other side, like so. Okay. And so from there, we are having quite a weird shape. So we want to change that, of course. So we're gonna go back to the trunk spine in here, and we're gonna control the curve. So one thing that we can do, so we are using the curve relative to the tree. And now, so the further we are away from the center, so as you can see, I moved them a little bit, they're not very center. The further we go away, the more I want them facing to the bottom. And the more they're on the center, the more I want them facing the top, basically. So to do this, we want to adjust the curve, like so, in here, like this, maybe like this. Now we want to add gravity to it. But of course, we need to add more polygon to our mesh in here to do so. So I'm gonna go back to this mesh. I'm gonna hit the tessellation amount. I don't think we need too much. Keep in mind that whenever we're using so spine only and front, we need less vertices and polygon to actually maintain the shape. When you use leaf, you need more for some reason. So in this case, I think a value of 20 would do the job. Maybe, yeah, let's go with something like 26. We will see LOD later anyways. So as you can see, we are getting a good shape. And actually, let's see, because we want to optimize it until where we're losing the shape that we want. So I'm gonna go with 12. I think 12 is pretty okay, but we're at the very limit. Let's see with 16. Okay, so 16 is pretty okay. So I think 12 would do the job for a lower LD. And I'm actually gonna go in here and place my own point, like so, for the other LD actually. Okay. So we are starting to get the shape of it, but we're gonna control way more. Okay. So I'm gonna go back to the trunk. In here, I want to go in and change the length of it. So in absolute, we want to have, I think, a longer branch on the center, and so smaller on the side. So to do so, we are gonna change the curve of the absolute right here, relative to the tree, of course. So we're gonna bring this point down there, not too much, because we actually want to keep a good shape for this shrub. And so now I'm gonna add, of course, a little bit of variance to this, so it's getting more natural, like so. And so from there, one thing that we can do, we can jump also on the front. I think I'm pretty okay with the shape. Of course, we can either add more leaf, so more branch to it. If we add more branch, we can even increase the last value, so we have like a bigger bush, or can actually decrease that to here, and maybe go in here in the start angle and just so we're gonna manipulate the curve to be better, to something like this. So yeah, kind of like this bush right there. Maybe gonna increase the sink. So I think it's looking pretty good right now. Okay, so now one thing that we can do, we can go so in trunk in here, so in spine, we can add some noise to it. So in here in early, I'm gonna add some noise, but not too much, because that's gonna affect too much our result shape. Something like this, I think. I'm pretty happy with this result. Yeah. So now we have a shrub of so 1.4 K triangle, which is okay. But one thing that we want to do for the closest LD to actually getting a good shape and a very good looking shrub, we're gonna work with some leaf adding on the front. So to do so, that's why I took a picture. We took a picture of one of the leaf. So now we're gonna add a leaf in here, but of course we cannot see any leaf to it. It's because we need to go back to our 0.2 branch. We need to go in edit mode. And so in here we are finally gonna use the anchor point, so the green point in here. So we're gonna see how to use it. So I'm gonna click in here, and I'm gonna place some of the point on the branch. So I'm gonna place one here, making sure that they're facing the same direction. It's gonna be simpler for us to control the shape of it. So we wanna add some of them, but we actually not wanna add too much, because of course it's gonna cost polygon, and of course we wanna keep this as a low polygon. So this one, I'm gonna add this to the branch. So maybe I want to go to something like 12, because of course we want to optimize it. So 12, maybe I want to place them myself. 12, 9, and so 6 to the last. I'm gonna hide that first, or actually now I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna select this leaf, and I'm gonna place that onto the leaf right there. So of course it is way too big, so I'm gonna go in skin size and decrease the size of this to something like basically the same as it is on the other. So yeah, do something like this. Okay. And now to bring the 3D to our mesh. So as you can see, only the leaf costs 2K, which is pretty heavy, but we will see how to decrease this number to actually getting a quite low poly shrub at the end. So in here, we're gonna go in orientation. And first we want to add some variance to the face, so they're not facing the same direction, like this. Now we want to add some align to it, so not adding align, but variation to the align, like this. And we want to add some fold to it, like this. So now all of them are basically not facing the same direction. And yeah, pretty okay with the result. So of course, if you wanna have like the best quality on your mesh, one thing that we can do, but I won't recommend it if you want to keep performance, it's we can go inside the leaf. We can increase a number like so. So 38, of course, is gonna bring the total polygon amount to something very high. And now in leaf we can actually add some curl, which are gonna add way more good effect on the leaf. As you can see, I'm adding some fold, some variation, and we're gonna add some curl on the leaf like this, and that will bring a good effect like this. Now I think the leaf are not actually facing, they're more facing towards the sky. So I'm actually gonna decrease the value of the align and the fold like this. Okay, and yeah, so it's up to you now. One thing that we can do, of course, it's in here we can so I think the lower we go on the shrub, we want to have a smaller leaf. So one thing that we can do, we can go in here and bring the left point to something like here, and maybe those leaves on the top to something like here. Okay, now we're getting a very nice result actually. And if you want to add more leaf, of course, it's up to you, but you can go there in edit, and of course, so to showcase, add more points to it as much as you want. So something like this, not too much on the bottom, I guess, like this. And as you can see now, we are starting to have a lot of leaf. And so we can maybe go there, increase a little bit. So this is only for a good quality mesh, not for like best performance mesh. But so I increase the branch polygon, and now we have a very nice looking bush. Okay, but now we're gonna actually work on getting those amount very, very lower, and so have a very well optimized mesh. So one thing that I maybe want to mention before moving on the optimization thingy, maybe we will talk about some of the use that we can have with the anchor point right there. So the green point. So let's say in here, so in my material, so the leaf in here, I'm gonna add a new leaf, and I'm just gonna duplicate this 0,2 leaf right here. Okay, so 0,2 leaf. I'm gonna just leave it as it is. And so in here, we want to keep the same cutout, yeah, that will do. But I'm actually gonna change so the color of it. Of course, you can have a different leaf. So maybe you took some of so different leaf onto the same shrub. So you have like old leaf, new leaf, and so maybe dead leaf. But just to showcase, I'm just gonna change some of the parameter right there to actually just see the difference, basically. Yeah, that will do to actually see the difference. So yeah, now if I go on 02, so the branch in here, now I can actually change the ID of the anchor point. So let's say here at the bottom, I want dead leaf. Okay, so I will just right click on the grain point, and I'm just gonna select the ID of 2. So I'm gonna do for all of them. So all on the bottom actually. So changing that to 2, like so. Maybe I can add some at the very top as well. Not all of them, of course, but some of them. Now I'm gonna place them in here. We will do the LD part after, so I'm just gonna place them in high in here. And now if I go in leaf, in generation, as you can see here, I have the anchor option. So I can either choose all anchor, or I can either use one. So in this case, so one was, so it is basically the anchor point that I choose for the good leaf. And now in here, I'm gonna actually take the leaf in here, Control D, to duplicate, because of course we want to keep the same parameter that we did for this leaf. I'm gonna plug that into the front, and now in here in the material first, I want to change the leaf to the leaf copy that we just made before. And now I want to go in gen, and I want to select the second one. So as you can see there, we're getting some variation onto the leaf. So in case you have different leaf, you want to add more variation onto your bush. Of course, it's not looking the best because he's very like split. So maybe I can add some on the top as well. But yeah, you get the point. But you can choose where you actually want to put a spawn. So each leaf, so dead leaf, new leaf, etc, etc. So you get the point. And so now we're gonna talk about actually optimizing this LOD. Okay, so we're gonna go over some technique that we can use to lower that. But we first, I think, gonna decrease all of the poly count that we have on all the leaf, basically. So first, starting with this, I think we have too much anchor points. So I'm just gonna decrease the size of it and remove some of them, like so. Like this. Okay, seem pretty okay with that. Now I'm actually gonna decrease also this value. So I went back to 16. Let's see if we are okay with the result. I think I'm pretty okay with the result. Of course, it's up to you if how much polygon that you want for your first LD, but in this case, I will use that. Let's just see with a value of 20. Yeah, we barely see any difference, so I'm gonna keep 16, but just to see for the next LD. Value of 12 still do the job as well. 9 is starting to get ugly, and of course 4 is not the greatest, but let's see 6. Maybe if I create a point myself, with no tessellation, like this. No. Okay. So we'll go with 8 as the minimum. So 9, like this. I changed the anchor point, so I'm just gonna place it back. That was maybe this. Let me try. Yeah, I would say for a low distance poly that will do the job. So I'm gonna keep so 6 as the first one. Of course you can, if you don't mind, because we are still far from the bush, so I would say this for the lowest LD would be okay. Now I'm gonna add just maybe 1 point. I'm gonna add 2. Yeah, we'll keep it like this, so we still keep the shape of it. Okay, so now I'm gonna complete the 2 other ones. So I think I said something like this, and we go for 18 for the highest one. Okay, so now I'm gonna jump here. So I'm gonna use 3 LOD. Now, so we have the choice of decreasing the amount of leaf and front, and of course we're gonna use that for a leaf. So in here, let's see our LOD. So we have some scale on the leaf. We want to remove that. So I'm gonna go in here in leaf, skin, no, LOD, scale factor, bring that to 0. So let's see our LD. Okay. One thing we need to do as well is we need to go here, cut out, and I need to decrease this. Maybe we want to keep some of the shape, but I don't recommend it because we are using we are adding too much polygon. I think the shape, yeah, the shape is pretty okay. But we still have too much leaf. Right. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to 4. I think it's better like this. So now we went back to basically 4K to all of the leaf for the first LD. So our 0 LD, it's at 5.4 LD polygon, sorry. So I think it's pretty okay. For shrub, it's maybe too high, but maybe I can decrease how much anchor point I have on my branch here by doing this. Maybe decreasing the size. Like this. Yeah. So 18, 11, and 6. Okay, so yeah, we got that 3.7K, which is pretty okay for LD. Keep in mind that we're gonna decrease the amount with the LD by a lot, so that will be okay, even if we have this amount of polygon, which is not a lot for sure, but I'm just gonna increase this to 22 because I actually don't like the shape of it. Okay, yeah, I like it better now. Now I think the size of it is a bit too large since we have no On the very top, they're too large. Not very, actually. Yeah. So I'm pretty okay with that. But yeah, one thing that I just remember, if we want to keep good quality but preserve this kind of like amount of polygon, is we can do this. Okay, so I can just simply take this. So take the trunk from here, and I'm gonna Control D, plug that in here. I'm gonna maybe decrease. So take the two trunk in here, and decrease the number by half, so 72. So let's do like 47, 37, something like this. And now one thing that I want to do is I want to have this one. So in here, I want to bring them to the middle, like so. And this one right here. So by controlling the curve on the starting angle, I want to actually bring them outside right there. Okay. Maybe more like it. Okay. And so now the middle leaf won't have any leaf on top of it. I mean, so the middle branch won't have any leaf, but we actually don't need to have them. And so the one on the side does have leaf onto it. So we are getting more, I mean, the leaf are getting better. Just, I mean, the LOD, the overall amount of polygon that we have. So we can even have more leaf onto it if you want to preserve this quality. Okay, so starting from there, so now we're gonna touch the LOD. So in here, so the front, that's where we control the weight of it. I think I won't touch any of this, so I don't think we want to decrease. Just remember, if I decrease this, we're gonna lose some of the leaf. So I don't think that's one thing that we want to do, except maybe we can decrease the number on the middle. So to do so, we go in front, LD, in weight we remove the variance, and in here I think we need to decrease this one all the way to the bottom. But it is not very needed actually. So I'm just gonna keep it as it is right there. And so in leaf, in LD, one thing that we can do, it's actually not changing anything because we're just gonna remove the leaves the further we go away. So let's see from there, if I decrease, so for the front, I'm gonna keep it right there, and the leaf, I want to decrease that maybe actually all the way there. Because yeah, we're still maintaining the shape of it, so it is okay. And so we start with 3K up close. Of course, you can go higher if for a very close one you want to keep this like a good quality. And so for the medium LD, we go to 2.2. So I think one thing that we actually can do, because they look like the same, basically, it's actually adding, so onto the leaf, maybe one thing that I'm gonna do, to show it faster, I'm gonna remove this leaf. And so in here, I'm gonna choose all anchor, like so. And in the leaf here, I'm gonna add more geometry to this, to something like this. And so now maybe a little bit more, but not too much, because we want to I have not too much polygon on the mesh. Okay, like this. Maybe change the curl of it. It's maybe too high, like this. Of course, we can change the brightness of it to fit more with the branch. And yeah, I'm pretty okay. So up close, we are at so 8,000, but we have a good quality basically, actually. And so LOD 1, we go to 3.4, but one thing that we can do is we can actually remove basically all of the leaves. So I'm gonna go here and making sure that in LD2 we have no leaf at all. So I'm just gonna bring this point all the way here. So creating a new point by double clicking. So on the leaf curve right there, bring that all the way to 0. And so now in here we have all the leaf, and as soon as we hit so LD1, we have no leaf on our branch. And yeah. And so one thing that we can do for the last one, it's actually decreasing the amount of branch that we have. But I want to preserve the one on the center. I mean on the side. So like this. So yeah, something like this. I think we preserve the shape. So if we go further back, like so, we keep basically the same shape. Can maybe add a little bit of scale onto front, so that would be there. Or maybe here. I can actually not control the scale of those, but that will do anyway. And of course, keep in mind that we're gonna have billboard as the fourth LD. So what billboard is basically SpeedTree is gonna take a picture of this side, this side, this side, this side, and depending on where you're on Unreal Engine, it's just gonna put a picture on 2D of, so in 2D picture of this mesh actually. So from further away, we basically gonna have just 36 polygon from far away, which is very needed for performance in case you had a lot on your scene. So yeah, that's it for the shrub. Okay, so now before moving on the exporting side of this tutorial, we're gonna add some vertex color to our shrub. Okay, so to do so, I'm gonna go in here, and we want to make sure that first vertex is enabled here. So make sure to check the compute box right there and bring the blue all the way to the bottom here. Now we're gonna go in here in the trunk, and we're gonna look for vertex color. Now we want to set first, and I'm gonna bring a value of 1. Now I want to just move this all the way to the bottom, and I think that's it. We're good. So now we can export our mesh. Okay, so one thing that we can do now is we can click on File and Export Mesh, and we're gonna export this as FBX. Okay, so for this mesh over there, so the shrub and not the grass, we want to export that with billboard, and we will see why. In the case of grass, we don't want to export with billboard because we are not gonna use it anyway. So Here, we're gonna go with LOD, so all the LOD plus billboard. So we're gonna have the 3 LOD plus the billboard, which is gonna be generated by SpeedTree. In here, we wanna select light map UV. We haven't talked about that, but we will maybe later. Or actually, let's do it right now. So in here, in lighting, we can change so the light map UV if we want to have a different effect. I mean, if you want to control how the lights gonna affect our mesh, we can control this in here. So we have different setting, so we can change that to global and just change all of the setting. So knowing that the sun is there, you can basically change it. Very may depend on your preference. Yeah, but we're just gonna keep it as it is right now, and we're gonna jump back into the export mesh. Okay, so right there, so we're taking LD plus billboard, making sure that we are selecting light map UV, but keep in mind that we can even generate one inside Unreal Engine later. We want to include vertex blend because we want to have this basically. So what we've made, we want to have that as RGB1 in here. So I'm in centimeter right there. So as you can see, I'm in centimeter. I haven't touched it. Is by default, I'm used to just convert it inside Unreal. So for Unreal, but so in here, I'm just gonna export it, and for Unreal, I'm just gonna scale this to 100. So basically, if it's 1 centimeter, it's gonna be 1 meter. So 1.7 meter. So I'm just gonna scale it to 100. Of course, depending on what unit are you on, which is a setting that you can find in Edit, Preference, and so 3 window. In here, as you can see, we're in centimeter. Of course, it can be different on your SpeedTree, but in the one that I'm on, I'm actually in centimeter. So if I export, I will export it inside. So and convert that to scale to 100. Now we want to flip the X value because Unreal Engine, I mean to export it inside Unreal Engine to have the mesh facing towards the sky, we need to flip the X value. So of course, depending on the unit that you have, you may want to change the scale, but keep in mind that we can still change the scale of the mesh inside SpeedTree, so the import scale. And so in here, we have the texture option. So we have the atlas resolution. In this case, we're going to use an atlas because we have a different material, so the branch and the leaf. So I'm just gonna keep the max setting, of course, depending of your choice. You want to maybe have like 2K resolution, which is more than enough. I'm actually gonna go with 4K, not 8K. And so in here, in the atlas, so as you can see here, we have the branch and the leaf right there. So if I include everything, we're gonna have in one material this and this. And if I so non-wrapping, we're gonna have those post material separate on different material. And so I rather have everything on one material because it is more like we lose less performance by doing so. So I'm just gonna include everything onto the atlas. And in here, in bitboard, we're gonna keep as it is by default, so 8, top down, and as it is. Okay, so for the axis, I'm gonna keep it as this, because I'm used to just flip the X over there. So now I'm gonna export it. I'm gonna, so look for my folder. Now I'm gonna create a new folder, and this one's gonna be, so mesh, 3D. Now I'm gonna click in here, I'm gonna create a new folder. I'm gonna rename it as Zeron. I'm gonna go inside, I'm gonna rename my mesh as Zeron, and I'm gonna save. Now I'm gonna wait for it to compute. Okay, so we're good with this one. So now we're gonna move back onto the grass one that we've made before. And now I'm gonna click in File, Export Mesh. So keep in mind that whenever you export a mesh, SpeedTree gonna basically save the past setting that you got from your before mesh. So right there, we should have everything as the same. And not really, because it was a different project, but if I reopen the project, it's gonna be the same as it is. So I'm gonna just change that, include everything, but that won't change anything because we actually have two texture right there. So we're gonna use Atlas, and in here we don't want to include billboard because we actually don't need it. So I'm just gonna change this from LODs plus billboard to just all LD, and we're gonna keep everything in here the same. We want to make sure before exporting, of course, that our so vertex is good, which I don't think we have a value of 0 at the very bottom, so I might wanna do this. I think so. I'm gonna check. We were using screenshot 3 and 4, so I'm gonna go in screenshot 3. I'm gonna go in vertex color. Here I'm gonna clear in black. I'm gonna increase the size, and now I'm gonna paint the top part in red. I'm gonna paint that. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna go in screenshot 4, edit, clear, fill black. Do the same. So we want just to keep the bottom part in black, and the top one in red. And so here I want to select both, and so I'm gonna go in all, look for the text color, and in here we are actually gonna don't touch anything here, so I'm gonna reset it by default, and I'm just gonna use mesh asset, and I'm gonna increase the contribution. So we are actually gonna use the vertex color that we actually paint onto our leaf right there, which is another way to painting a leaf vertex color. So now we have actually a good vertex color paint on our leaf. Okay, so now we are ready to export it. So I'm gonna making sure as well that my LD are good, which they are. And now that I'm proud of my mesh, I can export it. So I need to redo this like so. Change that to only all LD. Now I'm gonna go in the same folder that we made before. I'm gonna rename this as 02 grass. And so this one's gonna be 02 and grass, and we're gonna save. And now I will see you inside Unreal Engine. Bye bye. All right, so here we are in Unreal Engine. So it is 5.3, and so I just opened a third-person map project. So as simple as that. So here's my content folder, and so now I'm gonna bring my so my mesh 3D folder that we create together. So with the O1, the first mesh, which is a small shrub, and second one, which is the grass. So I'm gonna just drop it right there. So by default, if I remember correctly, this should be like this. And I think this should be unchecked, so like this. So we are gonna open this,
So oh yeah, change this from ignore to replace, so the vertex color, so that we can import our vertex color. Here we're gonna check the import mesh LD. Here the uniform scale. I think the uniform scale of this mesh is well made. So I'm not gonna touch it, of course. But in case you think your mesh is twice bigger than you need, you can simply so go there and just change the scale of it. So in case you don't like it after you import it, you can just simply delete it. So only the mesh and not the material or everything. Only the mesh. Just import back the mesh and change this as you want. And so in here, I'm gonna go in LOD setting, and this should be check. So I'm gonna uncheck it. In here, in number of LOD, we're gonna change the whatever number it is to 4. So we have 3 LOD, a 3 that we've made, and the fourth one for the billboard. And so here I did change some of the value. So 0.1, 0.05, and 0. This one should be at 0.01 actually. And so yeah, it is perfect. So now I'm gonna just import all. So keep in mind that it's gonna save. So Unreal Engine is gonna save your setting as well. So you won't have to change this every time, of course. You importing a mesh from SpeedTree. I mean, for a project at least. Okay, so I'm gonna open the shrub first. So we're gonna open the folder. In here, I'm gonna place my camera so I can place that over there. So I'm gonna play the shrub right there. Now in here, so wall setting thing, the shrub, this one over there. I'm gonna, so as you can see here, we can have the two material that we are gonna work on it. So I'm gonna open the material on element 01. In here, I'm gonna delete this, or yeah, I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna go back to the folder and I'm gonna drop the normal. Okay, so now I'm gonna plug the normal into the normal. In here, I'm gonna click so on the material right there. I'm gonna change the blend mode to mask, and I'm gonna check the box two-sided. So like in SpeedTree, so we are masking because now we only have the mesh but without the masking. I think I've done it wrong. Yeah, I need to increase the size of it. So I need to plug the A socket. I'm gonna show you why. Because if I go there, as you can see, so this is the base color. If I turn off RGB, as you can see, we have the opacity mask. So it is an atlas of the opacity mask. And so as you can see here in A socket, I have the opacity mask, and in RGB, I do have the base color. So RGB base color and A into the opacity mask. Okay, so now I'm back in the engine. And so there we have it. So by default, Unreal does have a 0.5 value in specular and in roughness, like so basically. So 0.5 in specular and 0.5 in roughness as well. This is by default in the engine. I do know that in 5. So Unreal 5.4, you do have, it can change actually December by default in this section, but it is 5.3 still, so I'm gonna do it manually. So in case your leaf or your shrub doesn't need to be shiny, one thing that we can do is actually lowering this value. So the specular, we want it to be at 0, and we want this value to be here if you want to actually not reflecting anything, like so. But of course you can change this value in case you want to have them a little bit shiny, but I'm gonna keep it as it is right there. Okay, so I'm gonna create some and show you what we can add there to actually control and maneuver the look of our bush. So first, one thing that we can do, of course, is we can, so this is RGB socket, the base color. We can go in here, and one thing that we can do is, I'm gonna increase the size of the window actually. We can go in here and change the blend mask, the blend mode from mask to, the shading model from defaultly to subsurface. And in here, so if I just apply without changing anything, everything's gonna be white. But if I so take this and plug that into the subsurface, I actually gonna add subsurface to the leaf. So now we will see leaf better from behind the sun. But of course you can control the amount of that. So I can first go here, take a multiply node. So I'm gonna hit control so I can take this. I'm gonna plug that in here, plug that in here, subsurface. I'm gonna press S, and now I'm gonna type subsurface amount. Now I'm gonna plug that here. So default value should be at 1, like so. So now if I do increase this value to something very high, let's say 2, we will see the leaf better from the backside. So if I decrease that to 0, as you can see, we can not see it all from behind. So basically the sun won't go through the shadow. If I increase too much, the sun will go through the shadow too much actually. So I'm gonna keep it as 1, I think. 1 should be nice for us. Now we're gonna add a little bit of variation onto the mesh right there. So I'm gonna add a multiply node in here. So I'm gonna take control, same in here, and I'm gonna place that over there and over there. And so this is 1 by default. So I'm gonna bring a parameter. So I'm gonna hold S and left click to bring a parameter node. Of course, you can bring this one and just convert it to parameter. It is the same, or just go there and look for a parameter or a constant. So bring a constant and convert that to parameter. And so I'm gonna press F2 to rename it, and this one should be wood is gonna be the brightness. So here the default value is at so 1 as a default value. In here, of course, one thing that we can do is have the slider minimum to 0 and maybe the slider max to 5, because we of course won't need to be higher than that. In here, one thing that we can do is we can bring a power node. So power, I'm gonna look for power. In here, I'm gonna control this, I place that over there. I'm gonna bring a parameter, so S left click, and I'm gonna name this as contrast. But one thing we need to do with that first, it's we need to bring 1 minus node. So I'm gonna plug that here, and plug that there. So with this, we can basically control the contrast. So the default value is at 0, and I can increase this value. So the slider max would be at 2. So if I go there, I will increase the contrast of it. Yeah, I think the slider max should be at 1 actually. So like this. So this is minimum, and further I go, I just increase the contrast to something purely white. Okay, so here is the contrast, the brightness, and now I want to add some tint change. So I'm gonna control to take this again. Maybe I will just put that more here. Now I'm gonna plug that here. And now on my keyboard, I'm gonna hold 3 and left click. So I'm gonna bring this constant 3. Of course you can, so right click, look for constant, and constant 3 vector, which is the same. This one I'm gonna convert it as well, and this one's gonna be tint, and I'm gonna plug that here, change the default value to something per white, and now we can apply. So in case I actually won't change the color of it, I'm gonna increase the window, and so I can actually change the color, feel like this, as much as you want, of course. So we can control the color of our shrub right there. We can control the contrast, like so. We can control the brightness, and we can control. So this is the basic control that we want onto the shrub, and so we can control the shrub subsurface, which is basically how much light you want to go through your leaf. Okay, so now, so I'm gonna select on the object again, so the mesh. I'm gonna click Beatboard. Here I'm gonna delete this, but open the the 0 folder. Actually not gonna bring the billboard normal. We won't gonna use it. We don't need normal because the billboard is way. I mean, we can see it from only very far. So the only thing that matter is the color, and so the aspect from far. So in here, we are gonna create a material. Okay. So we're gonna create a material function. So I'm gonna create a new folder. I'm gonna call that mf for material function. In here, I'm gonna create a material function. So here, material function, name that as mf underscore build board. I'm gonna open this. And so first, I'm gonna take an object position. Position. Now I'm gonna take the camera position. I'm gonna bring the subtract node. Subtract, sorry. So I'm gonna subtract the object position by the camera position. Then I'm gonna normalize this value. I'm gonna bring a dot product here. I'm gonna play that here. I'm gonna bring a vertex normal workspace in here. I'm gonna plug that here. Now I'm gonna bring a constant 3 vector. So holding 3, left click. In here I'm just gonna plug so change the value on Z to 1. Now I'm gonna bring the transform vector. So I'm gonna plug that here. So this has to be view space to workspace, like so. Now I'm gonna bring another dot product, like so. So I'm gonna take the vertex normal again, plug that here. Now I'm gonna bring in the min node over there, like so. Plug that here. I'm gonna bring a multiply node, so holding M left click, sorry. And just multiplying the true result, and I'm gonna multiply it again. Now I'm gonna add, and so we are gonna bring text coordinates. Yeah, the coordinates like this, and change the index to 2. I'm gonna control D this to duplicate it. I'm gonna bring the mask component, only keeping the OR, so the OR value. And here I'm gonna plug that here. I'm gonna add a multiply node in here. Now I'm gonna bring an input scale function, so function input. In here I'm gonna change this to be an input scalar, like this. I'm gonna name it as opacity, like this. I'm gonna plug that here. So now I'm gonna call the output like this, and so I'm gonna name it as opacity. Now I'm gonna bring another mask, only keeping the OR value. Now I'm gonna bring a lerp node, so I can either press L, left click, or looking for interpolate, linear interpolate, like here. So I'm gonna change those value. But first I'm gonna plug this into the alpha. This is gonna be the alpha, and in here we're gonna have a value of 0.18, and this one has to be 0.38. So now I'm gonna plug this value in here, plug this value in here. Now I'm gonna saturate this, and I'm gonna append these values. So looking for append vector in here, like this. Now I'm gonna bring constant one. This one has to be 0 as a value, like this. So I'm gonna plug this value here, and we are good. So this one's gonna be the custom UV, like this. And yeah, we are good. So now I'm gonna hit apply, save. Now in here, I'm gonna look for my billboard. So I know one time I actually got this so metron function while while transferring my so mesh folder inside the engine. So basically, whenever you So yeah, whenever you export a mesh from SpeedTree, I think there should be a setting that can so provide you this metron function whenever you import this inside the engine. But just to make sure that everyone does have this one, I'm just recreating it so everybody can follow along. So how this work is, we first gonna have to so check here, change the blend mode to be mask, and in here we're gonna look for custom UVs, and in here we're gonna change the number from 0 to 3. So as you can see here, now we have 3 custom UV. So as you already know, so the RGB is the color and the A is basically the opacity mask. So I'm gonna take the A socket, I'm gonna plug that into the opacity, and then I'm gonna take the opacity, plug that into opacity mask, and take the custom UV and plug that into the custom UV too. So basically what it's gonna do is, so I'm gonna change the value of this to be very close, so we can see how it's working actually. I'm gonna look for LD pickup. In here I'm gonna look for, so the last one, which is this one, and I'm gonna place a value of 1. Like this. And so, as you can see, it's gonna take our camera position. And so I'm pressing G to hide this. And whenever we rotate, we actually gonna change from billboard to other billboard to actually match where we are. So if we are on top, we're gonna have the top billboard. If we're in here, we're gonna have, so if we're to the left, we're gonna have the left billboard, etc, etc. So this is not like a complex material, and it is basically looking the same on the side. So I compare left side to the right side is basically the same. But whenever you have like a tree or a grass which is looking very different on one side, this billboard could be very good because it's so basically taking the camera position and actually so changing what billboard so in this case so if I take this color, it's gonna pick one of these so 8 billboard that we have, and basically it's gonna show the one that we need to see depending on where the camera is. Okay, so now we're gonna see how LOD work. Yeah, one thing that I actually forgot to talk about the billboard is sometime when you change your the look of your material. So in this case, this one over there. So if you drastically change the color of it, of course you can just simply just take everything here. I'm gonna increase the size. So take everything here. So usually when you don't change anything, you just put this value over there because you don't want it to be shiny. So I'm just gonna, if I don't change very much, I'm just gonna place this hue value over there. So having a roughness value of 1 and a specular value of 0. But in case you change a lot inside the leaf material, so you change the brightness or everything like this, of course you want the color to match from so LOD2 to LOD3. So after changing the setting on your material, of course you wanna so basically give this color to the material, so the billboard material. So we're gonna take, so I'm gonna just delete the subsurface amount, but we can just so place RGB in here and place the result into the base color. So we actually have exactly the same color. So from the billboard, so from LOD2 to LOD3. And so now we are gonna jump into the LOD. So basically, first thing that we need to do, we need to look for LOD. So in here, and now we can actually, so in here, press and check the custom button. And so now we will see so all the LOD. So yeah, so as you can see here is a 0 1. So I'm gonna keep a 1 value so we can see all of them. Now I have 0.5 to this one and 0.3 to this one and 0.2 to this one. So of course, here is the current screen size. And so here is the value that we can change whenever we want. And so here, if I hit 1 in here, whenever we drop below 1, so here I'm at 1.14, so I will keep the LOD 0. But whenever I go, so the first one will always be taken. So in this case, whenever I'm between so infinite to basically 0.5, I will always be on LOD 0. But whenever I go down, so below 0.5, So as you can see here, the current screen size, I'm going down to 0.5. I will so change from LOD0 to LOD1. And so the need that we need to do is we actually need, so it can depend on your situation, but we need to match and make it feel like we cannot see the difference between LD0 and LD1, while keeping, of course, performance. So in this case, I think so LD1 should pop way further back. I think 8K triangle is not that crazy, so we can go way like far back in terms of bringing the LD1. And so LD2 as LD1 is gonna pop at 0.3. So as you can see here, screen size, I'm gonna go down to 0.3, and as you can see now, we are seeing LD2. And so if I go further back to 0.2, if I go down to 0.2 in terms of screen size, I will have now the last LD, so LD3, which is a billboard that we just made together. And so yeah, so now I'm gonna just change this value. So in case, no, depending on your mesh, the mesh that you've made, depending on the LD that you've made, this may vary. So of course, it's better for you to just try it yourself and watching what is the best for you. But so I'm gonna just go along and try to fix it. So I think I want to have 0.1 for the first LD. I'm just gonna watch if it's too far. No, I just want to make sure this one's pop further back. So I'm not going from LD0 to LD3. So I think it's still too close. So maybe I'm gonna go with 0.06 like this. I think I'm pretty okay with this one. We can still see it, of course. If we don't care too much about performance, I can go to something like this. So I'm gonna change this one to be further. So like this. So now we do see it, but it's not very noticeable. So I think at the range right now, it's pretty nice. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it like this. And so for the LOD2, so which is this one, I'm gonna change this value to be at 0.02. Oh, it is a bit more. So LOD2 is here. So 0.02. Now the billboard, I think this one is gonna be at 0.01. And so here, I think I'm pretty okay with my LOD now. So I will just move away and see if I see something I don't really like. And yeah, I'm pretty okay with the result. So I'm just gonna hit save and we are done. So basically now, if I go further away like this, I won't see a big change to it, but we are gonna move from 8K triangle, which is not big actually, to 36. So 36 whenever we are here, I believe. So if we have a big landscape, of course, we can paint foliage on it, like this to showcase how it's gonna work. So like this, I'm gonna change the value to 10. I'm gonna paint them a little bit like this, and I will see if I notice any difference. No, they're pretty good. Okay, so see you next on we're gonna implement wine effect to our bush. See you. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the wine effects. So first, I want to go and look. So I want to go in here, look for the static mesh in here, and I want to check if I do have the vertex color is applied correctly onto the mesh. So I'm just gonna click on show, and I'm gonna check the box vertex color, and as you can see, I do see, so at the bottom, so I do see black value, which is equal to 1. So we are basically not gonna move this side, which is what we want. And so on the top, the further we go on top, the further we have red color, and that's what we're gonna use. So the vertex color red to actually control the wine onto our mesh. So we are gonna create some material function to actually create the wine effect that we're gonna use. So the wine effect is quite complex to do. So it's gonna be like, let's say 20 minutes to create it. But this material function is very useful for basically every kind of foliage. So basically grass, shrub, and tree. We will see why, because we have a lot of variation. We are blend together, and that would work perfectly for basically everything, depending on so basically the value that you're gonna put inside the parameter. But we will see that later. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So I'm gonna go in here in my material function folder, and in here I'm gonna first create the material function. This material function, we are gonna name it as material function object random, like so. Okay, so this material function is gonna work as intended. It's gonna, so basically take the object position, and depending on its position, it's gonna bring us another value. So basically this can help us to have different motions, so different sway depending on the position of the shrub or the grass. So we are not actually seeing the same wine effect at the same time on all of our foliage. That's of course one thing that we are not looking for when we are creating wine effects. So we are going to use this material function to actually have different value depending on the position, so we can achieve this result. So first I'm going to bring a function input, like so. I'm going to change this to be a scalar. Now I'm going to take this, bring a reroute node, so I name reroute node. I'm going to name this as seed. So we're basically taking the input. So if I plug a value of 0 here, or let's say 1, I'm gonna have a 1 in here. And so now if I bring this, I will have a value of 1 in here and in all of them. So now I'm gonna bring an object position workspace, like so. Now I'm gonna bring a multiply node in here and a constant tree. So like here, now I'm gonna change this value. So they don't have to be exactly the same as me, of course, but you can copy, it's more simple, I guess. So I'm just gonna put this value over there. Now I'm gonna divide this by the seed, like so. So the result by the seed. Now I'm gonna bring a breakout float tree component. So I'm gonna break all of them, and I'm just gonna re-add them together. So adding both by the last one, and now I'm gonna frag this, like so, and I can plug that into the output result and rename this as object random A. So for the first one. Now it's more simple to do, so I'm just gonna copy this, control V, so control C, control V, and we're gonna do this so 3 times. So in here we're gonna change all of the value first, and after we're gonna change the name. So this one's gonna be 1.7, 1.88, and 1.85. I'm gonna scroll down a bit. So in here 2.25, 2.39, 2.55. Here I'm gonna scroll down a bit. So this one's gonna be 2.81, 2.95 or 98, and 3.15. And now we are gonna just change the name. So I'm just gonna take this, name this to B. So replacing A by B, replacing A by C, and replacing A by D. Okay, so now we are good with this material function. We can leave, so I'm gonna hit apply, save, and we are good for now. For that, now I'm gonna actually create another material function. So I'm gonna go here, material function, mf, and this one I'm gonna call it as a simple wine. So I'm gonna open that, and now we are gonna create the simple sway, so which is basically gonna control so the foliage to moving to the left or to the right a bit, like a wine effect, a normal wine effect, and we are gonna add that at the end to another wine effect, which gonna add a little bit of variation onto the leaf, and we will see at the end how it looks like basically. So I'm gonna jump into this. And now we are gonna create it. So it is pretty simple. I'm just gonna bring a time value. And in here, I'm gonna bring a function input. Change this to be a scalar. Name this to be time. Now I'm just gonna control D this. So control D twice because we will need two other scalar. I'm gonna rename this to be the speed and rename this one to be the variation, like so. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring my so object random material function. So this one over there. Here I'm gonna so plug a value of 1. You can change it however you want. If you want to change the value, but that's okay with this, and that's gonna basically change depending of the object, of course. So I'm just gonna take so the B socket, for example, or maybe the A socket, like so. I'm gonna plug that into the time. I'm gonna add 2 multiply node. I'm gonna multiply the time by the speed, and I'm gonna add this result to so yeah, this to this. So with a scalar, we can actually control inside our simple wine how we want to change this basically. And so now I'm gonna plug that into the B socket. So we add both together, and now we're gonna add the motion. So basically I'm gonna bring a sine node, and now I'm gonna place them like so. Here we're gonna keep the default value of 1. Here I'm gonna change the value of 135. Here to 133. And now I'm gonna add all of them together. So I'm gonna bring 2 add node, A left click. I'm gonna add them together. First I need to plug that, of course, so the value into the sine. And now I'm gonna add all of them together, like so. And now I'm gonna just multiply the result by 0.33 because we're adding 3 value, so they're all around 1, so we're like up to 3 basically, and I'm just gonna divide them by 3 by multiplying them by 0.33. And so now I'm gonna add them another input, so function input. This one is gonna be the scalar, and this one is basically gonna be the mask. So that's where we're gonna plug the mask. So in this case, the vertex color, and so now I'm gonna bring a bounding box. I'm gonna 1 minus that to invert this result. So I'm gonna plug that in here. That will make sure that we're basically masking the bottom part of the grass. And I'm gonna so plug that into another multiply node. So plug the result into the A socket, this one into the B socket. Now I'm gonna add another multiply node. I'm gonna add a constant tree, so holding tree, left click to bring this. No, sorry, we need to add a function input. So function input and changing. So we're gonna keep it vector tree, and we're gonna just change the name to be direction, like so. Plug the result in here, and now one last thing. We are gonna multiply the result by the last function input, which is a scalar, like so, and his name is gonna be intensity, and that's basically gonna control the overall intensity of basically all that we just created together here. And now I'm gonna plug the result into the output result, hit apply, and save. Okay, so now we are gonna create the wind effect onto our material. So this is the material for this from right there. So we're gonna create it all the way there, so we can later just copy and paste on all of our foliage. Of course, you can make it as a material function, but I'm just gonna basically create this over there. So first I need to bring a world position, so absolute world position. Now I'm gonna divide this by a parameter, so S left click, rename this as world position offset wave tile. Now I'm gonna plug that into the B socket and plug the X and Y axis into the A socket. Now I'm gonna bring two partner node, so one partner node, I control D to duplicate it. One thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring a time node, multiplying by a parameter, and I'm gonna name this as time, change the default value to 1, plug that here. Now I can plug that into both of the time, so we can control the time whenever we want with this parameter. Now I'm gonna plug this to both of the coordinates and just change the value to the X. So X value here and Y to 1. And now I'm gonna bring two texture samples, so I can look for texture sample like this, or I can just hold T and left click. Now I'm gonna plug that into the UV, control D to do the same to the other one. And so now, one thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just click on this, look for a texture, and I'm gonna look for water, so T underscore water underscore N, which is by default in the engine. So I'm gonna look for the same in the other. So T underscore water underscore N, like so. So we're basically gonna use this texture to control where we want to affect our wine onto the mesh. So we are using the texture to actually creating this effect. We will see it later. So now we're gonna add both of them. So basically one is moving on the X axis and the other is moving onto the Y axis. So I'm gonna add both together. I'm gonna normalize that like so. So I'm gonna normalize the result. In here, we're gonna, so with this result, so the way we are gonna create this wine effect, so don't forget that we're gonna create another one on top of this one. We're using the rotate about axis. So rotate about axis, which is this one. So depending on where we are, depending on the texture, we're gonna rotate the mesh with these values that we're gonna adjust right there. So I'm gonna plug that into the rotation angle. I'm gonna bring the vertex normal wall space to normalize rotation axis. In here, I'm gonna bring a constant tree, and I'm just gonna change the y value to -100. Now I'm gonna bring another one, Control D to duplicate, and I will keep the default value. So I'm gonna plug that into the position, and this one into the pivot point. And so from there, I'm just gonna multiply the result like so. And so I'm gonna bring another constant tree. This one I'm gonna convert it as a parameter, and this one's gonna be world position offset amount x, so x, y, and z, like this. And I'm gonna change some of the values. So the first one, so the R value is gonna be at 0.9. This one's gonna be at 0.7, and this one's gonna be a -0.5. So this is basically gonna control where we want to rotate the grass or the shrub. And so I'm gonna plug that into the B socket. And so in here, I'm gonna add a multiply node, and we want to control the intensity of that as well. So I'm just gonna plug that in here, bring a parameter. We're gonna so rename this as intensity sway, like so. I'm gonna keep a very low value of this, like this. And now I'm just gonna lerp. So I'm gonna bring another constant tree vector, and I'm gonna lerp this. So this one's gonna be in the A socket, this one's gonna be in the B socket, and now we are gonna bring the vertex color that we talked about before, and I'm gonna plug so the red value, as we said, into the alpha. Okay, so now we're good with so the first motion of this wind effect. So I can move it to the side a little bit like this, like so. And now we're gonna create the second part of it, but we already made the mathrm function for it. So one thing that we can do, we can go into our mathrm function, and we're gonna look for mf simple wine that we did create together before. So I'm gonna control D this because I want it twice, and from there I'm gonna bring a time node again, like so. So multiply by a parameter which we are gonna rename this as time. Keep a value, a default value of 1. I think it is the same as this one. In case you want to have a different time, of course you can rename this as time just 2, I guess. And so now okay, sorry for that. So now I can simply just put this result into the time. We are actually gonna change this value, or no, we're gonna keep this, so the same time into this time over there. Now I'm gonna bring another parameter. This one's gonna be the speed. I'm gonna change the value to be 1, like so. I'm gonna plug that into the speed, and I'm gonna so take this speed over there, take a multiply node, and I want to change this speed and divide it by 2, sorry. So I'm just gonna add 0.5, so we basically divide by 2. And so by doing this, I'm just basically adding, sorry for that. By doing this, I'm adding so I'm using this wine effect and adding 2 on top of each other. And because I don't have the same speed, of course, they won't have the same effect. So we're basically gonna have two effects onto our mesh, which gonna result into creating a more natural effect onto the mesh. Okay, so here I'm gonna bring a constant tree. I'm gonna change the value of x to 1. Now I'm gonna bring a mask component. So mask component mask. I'm gonna check the B box right there. Now I'm gonna plug that into the direction in here, and I'm gonna plug that, bring a normalize. Now I want to bring a cross product, like so. I'm gonna bring another, so another constant tree. So holding tree left click, of course, and we want to change the z value to be 1. And so I want to plug that into the B socket and this one into the A socket, like so. And now I can actually plug that into the direction, like so. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring the intensity parameter. So I'm gonna hold S, left click, like so. Rename this as intensity. I'm gonna change its default value to be so 2, like so. And I can actually plug that into the intensity and plug this one into the intensity as well. So of course you want to keep the same intensity on both. They both anyway won't have the same variation because they are not having the same speed. And now we can have our last setting, which is gonna be a parameter. So of course S left click, and this one's gonna be the wine global variation scale. So yeah, as you can see in the name, basically the more value we add to this, the more how like scale it will take to actually see a difference between one bush and another bush. So let's say if I have only one blade of a grass as a mesh, and I put them with the foliage tool onto my landscape. If I have this to be a 1 scale, basically, if we have 1, we're gonna take so just 1 unit, basically, kind of one of, for example, and on the other units, we are gonna see already a different variation. And if I bring that to 10, we are gonna have so the same grass in these 10 units moving in the same way, but in 10 units later, they're gonna move in another way, basically. So it is, for example, of course, it is not actually 1 or 10 units, but it is, for example. So I'm gonna bring that and plug that into both of the variation socket. And now in here, I'm gonna bring a multiply node. I'm gonna so plug that into the result and plug that again into the result. So the red vertex color in both, and now I can plug that into the mask and plug that into the mask again. So now we're gonna add both together. So on top of each other, of course, they won't be the same. And so now we can actually add to the previous wine effect that we created. So it is a more macro effect, which gonna result in more moving a bit the leaf. That can work as well with grass and tree, we will see. And here it's more about the sway, which gonna result in moving the grass, the mesh really to the left or to the right, and we will see that together later. And so I'm gonna add both, like so. And now we can actually now add this into the world position offset. So I'm gonna move that here. So of course later I can basically take everything here, like so. I'm gonna move this a little bit. It would be simpler to just take everything. And I can Control C and Control D onto another mesh, of course, to add this wine effect to all our mesh. Very simple. So I'm gonna hit apply, hit save, and we're good. So as you can see, we did create the wine effect. So as you can see, we are not having the same sway on all of the shrub. Now we're actually gonna change some of the value of it to see how we can control and maneuver this wine effect. That wasn't this. I'm looking for the material. So this one over there, like this, up. So now I'm just gonna change the value. So I'm gonna increase the size a bit. move this to the left here. And now we're gonna talk about so what setting do what basically. Okay, so here so I'm on the second part of it, so I can maybe rename this. So I'm gonna click C and I'm gonna rename this as big sway, and this to be the macro sway, like this. Okay. And so this is a vertex hole, of course. So in here I can so turn that off by changing the time like this. So now we're not affecting our mesh with the big sway, sorry, but only with the macro sway. So in here, in world position offset wave tile, we need to actually increase the size of this. So I will have maybe 500 to this. It's maybe not too much. Let's see with value of 10. So yeah, 10 is basically too small. So I'm gonna bring maybe 10k. I think I'm okay with that. Of course, the speed is way too high. We're gonna change that, of course. But as you can see, I'm gonna change the intensity so we can work better with that. So let me change the time. Maybe 10k is too much. I'm gonna bring that to 5k. 2.5. Like this. So I will so bring the value very up so we can clearly see what we're controlling right there. But yeah, we're basically rotating. So depending on the size of this, so right there, it is actually a low value that we have here. So we're telling, so 2.5 here. As you can see, if I change value to 10, every single point on the thing is gonna move like so. So 2.5, as you can see, is not quite large. So it may depend on what you're looking for. Maybe this is still too big. So I will go to something like 500. So you're kind of like controlling the leaf. Of course, the intensity is way too much for this case. I even think that 0.1 value is way too much for any case. But yeah, so I'm gonna bring that to, so I think 0.1 it's quite okay. But I actually want to change the speed of it, so I'm just gonna lower the time of this to be 0.1 maybe, like so. So we are actually like shaking a bit, as you can see, the leaf a little bit, as you can see. And so yeah, that's basically, so the macro tray, it's how it's working, and it's moving and being controlled by basically this texture. So it's basically this texture who is moving from left to the right and from up to down, and basically whenever it's like touching one of the spots, it's gonna rotate it basically. So in case you have a very dense let's say grass populate area, we will see actually the wave rotating the leaf. We will see maybe that later. So now we're gonna actually use the big sway motion that we just create together. So I'm just gonna re-add some value into the time. So as you can see now, we have the sway from left to the right. So on top of this right there. So maybe we want to reduce the value of this. So I'm just going to bring that to 0.005, like so. So it's moving a little bit, but not too much. Of course, the intensity of the sway on both are not always the same depending on the time. So in here, we have the global variation. So I want this to be very low. So we don't have the same motion on all of the same. I mean, on all. But of course, if I increase this to something very high, they gonna start like moving like the same. So I'm gonna bring that to 10, like so. And so the intensity, as you can see, if I bring that to something very high, now the bush is moving a lot more. So it is not the speed. Of course, you can control the speed there if you want to decrease it or increase it. It is only so the sway, so how much it can move to the left or to the right, for example. And so yeah, gonna increase this. Of course, it's way too much. It's just to showcase. I won't go above something. Yeah, 50. I think it's one of the max. It may vary on the mesh that you are working on. But in this case, I'm saying I'm gonna keep a value of 5. So yeah, 5 is pretty good for us. And yeah, that's basically it. Of course, you can change the time to it if you wanna be slower. But I would recommend on the big sway to keep at one at speed and the one at the time. And yeah, so we are good for the bush. Of course, you can do whatever you want with this wine effect. We will see how to apply it and why it's good, because we can use it on different type of mesh, so grass, bush, or tree, and we will see that later. All right, see you.